Hello and welcome to the Should I Play This Game podcast, Game of the Year. We've got two parts to this coming up. So one's going to come out on the usual time, and one will come out either the day after or the day after that. We haven't decided when, but they'll get two within a couple of days of each other. We are returning to a normal, more standardised Game of the Year structure, for the want of a better term. We've got about a dozen or so categories to discuss. We have got a total of 51 unique games to discuss in that group. 176 different nominations across those dozen or so categories, so we've got a fair bit to discuss. In the past, we've done this Game of the Year. We've had a shared Google Doc between the two of us that we would be typing into, and we'd up and sort out a list. This time we're going to go to a more visual presentation of that. So if you are listening on the podcast, you may want to look at the YouTube video of this, which will be linked in the podcast notes. So it might be better to do some categories based on that, especially if they're more visual, which a couple of them will be. But we'll try our best to make it more work for both groups of people, but it is what it is, sadly. So before we get into the actual categories of today's, the first podcast, obviously, spoiler alert for the entire two things we're going to be talking about. Spoiler alert all the way through. We've got some that aren't necessarily more in part two than part one. But just be aware that we're obviously going to talk about games that we've both played. We're probably going to spoil each other, which is part of the course. That's fine. But yeah,
me more than you.
Probably. But there is going to be obviously some categories that are going to be more spoiler heavy than others. They'll be obvious when we describe what those categories are, but just be aware that is going to be a thing. So I guess before we go, let's get on to this by clicking that, and let's do a fade to that. So this is what we're going to be using to do our podcast for these couple of episodes. In this particular episode, we're going to be looking at best games we didn't get time to finish. Fairly straightforward, what that means. Quickly, requirements. So the game must have come out in calendar 2023. It can be early access. It could be new on a particular platform in that year. So now we're going to get to a game that's covered like that. If it came out on PC this year, but was on Xbox and other platforms last year, they are allowed.
Do we have any of those?
Yeah, you're Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah, right.
I think it might be. I think it might be the only one, but yeah, we've got.
It is the only one.
I think it's the only one, but yeah. So if it came out in a releasable form on any platform in the calendar year 2023, it is eligible. So that's basically the criteria. There's not much more to it. The game can be played into 2024 as is kind of required, but the release must have been.
There is at least one game that is not only very high on my personal list, but shows up in multiple categories that I played exclusively in 2024 because I just didn't get to it before 2023 finished.
And I can
the benefit of having holidays.
I'm pretty sure I can guess what that game was.
Oh yeah.
Not a game I didn't play, but yes, it's been nominated a few times. So, first category is best game we didn't get time to finish. Next category for episode 1 with best noise. We'll get to this. We'll explain it further. Best new thing, best surprise, best looking game. That's going to take a while to unpack. That'll be the end of episode 1. We're then going to finish up with a couple of categories from Steve for his musical stuff for this year. Then episode 2 we'll start with best story and writing, but we'll get to that in episode part 2. So first things first, Steve, any nominations to add to any of these categories for today's episode? Or any categories you want to remove because they're not actually eligible?
Any categories to remove because they're not eligible?
Any nominations to remove, I should say. Yeah, games.
Nothing off the top of my head for categories, but if something comes up when we hit those categories, I'm sure I'll think of something. But there's only really 2 games that I really wanted to get to that I didn't touch at all, and that's SteamWorld Build and Against the Storm. I didn't touch either of those 2 at all, not because I didn't have time. I just didn't get to them.
We have seen videos of both of them. You played the
I
demo.
played the demo of SteamWorld Build. We did the checkout of Against the Storm. There was a part of me that wanted something chill to play, but I didn't want something that chill to play.
Yeah.
The last week and a half has been very, I can't be fucked. I always get this way on these holidays, but anyway.
So
that's sort of where I'm at.
Yep, so probably before we jump in this, so I had a goal at the end of our last episode of our last year's podcast to try and get through about 6 or 7 games and complete them, and I kind of did that.
That was I was going to say that's pretty ambitious.
It was ambitious, and I got through. So I wanted to try and finish Assassin's Creed, Mirage, Day of the Diver, Viewfinder.
Yep.
What else was there? I think they were the 3 big ones. Let me just... American Arcadia.
It was really funny seeing the Steam pop up with your name, like you playing Dave the Diver, pretty frequently. Made me giggle every time because I'm like, yeah.
I played that an awful lot. Yeah.
That game's fucking great. That's why.
As we're going to get to that one a lot during these next couple of... Yeah, so I had Dave the Diver, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, American Arcadia, The Invincible, Viewfinder, and Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I finished all of them.
Did you not finish American Arcadia?
I did. I finished it. That's what I wanted to get to.
No, I meant before the end of last year.
I might have done. I can't remember. I think I might have done, actually. Yeah. So I had about half a dozen games I wanted to target to get through. And I got through the ones I wanted to get through. Oh, Descent was on the list as well.
I keep trying to scroll down the version of this we're looking at that's in the call, and I'm like, why won't it scroll down? Oh, wait. It's there.
Yeah, so that's another thing to quickly mention. I'm actually working on 2 computers here, so if I look really confused and not looking at the camera, I'm looking at a different monitor to control what we're seeing here. So it's an interesting
setup. It's not a product of me talking and saying shit. Well, yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time it isn't, but yeah. Yeah, so there's a bit weird setup with the vMix here. To actually get the ability to have audio come through a web browser, you had to do it in a sort of an oddish way. But anyway, so let's.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was
none of this. Let's get on to the game. Let's get into the first category. Best game we didn't get time to finish. That's fairly self-explanatory. But
so I literally have one entry in this category because, like I said, I'd played through pretty much everything I wanted to get to. Yeah.
It's that one, isn't it?
It is that one. It is Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
So I think the game, therefore, this is probably more heavily focused on me because I had based on that. So I'm actually going to make this fairly straightforward. It's going to be Dredge.
Well, do you want to run through the games that are nominated?
Yeah,
because the people who are listening, maybe not watching.
Yes, let's go there. So the first games nominated in this category are Sea of Stars, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Planet of Lana, Dredge, Miasma Chronicles, Talos Principle II, Bilkins Folly, Cocoon, and the Lamplighters League. And I'm pretty sure, except for Mario Brothers, I think they're all multi-platform games.
Yes.
Except maybe Bilkins Folly, that might be PC only, PC and Switch. Anyway.
That's still multi-platform.
No, technically, yeah. So that's probably the other games in this particular category. So in terms of sorting it, I guess probably the question probably for you is where would you see your game, which is the Super Mario Wonders game, fitting in a top 3? Yeah, so did we each category except for the couple of key ones next episode have a top 3 with a winner and 2 runners up, and then whatever's remaining nominees are honorable mentions. So we're basically looking for a top 3 with a winner. Would you put your game in a top 3? Basically, yeah. How would you put your game against everything else?
I feel like if we're trying to come up.
Yeah, sorry. Knowing you've played, if not finished, most of the other games in this list. Yeah, I guess because that's where.
I don't think that's going to preclude putting some of those games on that list. Being that this is we're coming at it from let's try and come up with a cumulative top 3. Having one of those games be the one I put on here would be nice. But I'm not going to stamp my feet and go, fucking it needs to be this.
Yeah.
Because it depends on like the process of elimination we go through. Because it's that thing where there might be stronger arguments for three of the games you put on here over Mario Wonder.
Yeah, so probably what I might do, I might just emulate the games that I don't think will get it, that I nominated. So one of those were Planet of Lana, so we'll chuck that one off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
It basically is not. It's not going to compete against the other ones in the list. Is probably the more not that it's not worthy. And I think the other.
I feel like that's fairly short too, isn't it?
It is fairly short, I believe. Yeah, as I said, I didn't actually get to finish it, hence why it's on this list. The other one would be
Lamplighters League.
Lamplighters League. So. Again, mainly because I played the demo of that game, really liked it, but never actually got into the main proper release when it came out. Not for anything else, just that I had other priorities at the time.
I feel like that, like something where I don't know. It's probably not going to come up as much in this specific Game of the Year discussion in some regards, but the concept of respecting and acknowledging the actual player's time is something that I've thought about a bit on and off over the course of the year.
Yeah, good call.
Something like a Lamplighters League is like seems like it's 20, 30 plus hours. It doesn't need to be that long.
Yeah, and there's one
with the sheer volume.
Yeah, I agree. There is a discussion to be had around games wasting players' times, as you said. Essentially, the other way of phrasing that is, dragging out their welcome a bit long, just so they really don't need to have this particular mechanic in it. And there's one game that is really high on both of our personal lists, I'm pretty sure, that kind of got a bit that way to me, but we'll get to that probably in tomorrow's.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But with the sheer volume of games that come out, trying to dedicate certain amounts of time for extended periods of time, and then missing out on playing some of those other games that might very well be more worth playing. It's like, fuck!
Yeah, and that's
particularly when you're working.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the one difference, I guess, in terms of your work is essentially what 9 till 3, not your actual hours of being at the office. Kind of quote.
I get in about 8. I leave between 3 and 4 most days, unless I need to stay back. So I've got more time than you do.
Yeah, I'm 8 till 6 basically most days for me. So and then you got to do your stuff around the house. So for the people listening, I have added a third game to my honorable mentions list, which is the Miasma Chronicles.
You removed Miasma Chronicles.
Yeah, I really like the game, but again, in terms of what's left on this list, I just think there are games that I really wanted to get to ahead of that one.
I was going to say, there's also an argument to be made that basically that studio has essentially made the same game 3 times now.
Correct. Exactly.
Between Mutant Year Zero, Corruption 2099 or whatever that was called.
2049, whatever it was called, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And then Miasma Chronicles, they are basically the exact same game, just with different narrative framing.
Narrative framings, yeah, agree. So what we're now left with is Sea of Stars, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Dredge, Talos Principle II, Bilkins Folly, and Cocoon. So I think from my perspective, it's probably looking like, actually, to be honest, that top 3 is kind of okay to me. So that top 3 would be...
Is there an argument for Talos Principle 2 over Dredge?
Potentially.
You played more of it. I played the Talos Principle 2 demo. I know I'm nowhere near smart enough, and those puzzles would piss me off way too much to even start it, which is why I haven't bothered. I finished Dredge, and Dredge is on my top 10.
Yeah, so...
It's fucking amazing.
I think this is how I kind of weigh up this category. It's... This might be a slightly odd way to look at it, but I'm currently playing the Talos Principle 2 right now. I haven't finished it to completion. Okay. I'm playing it right now. I'm not going to get to Dredge for another month or so. So I think the way I'm sort of weighting that is that Talos Principle 2 is a game I'm playing right now, and I will probably play that until I finish it. That's my humor's at the moment. I may get to Dredge later this year. I may not even get to it at all at this point. I don't know. It depends on other games that I want to get back to that might come ahead of it. So I think in terms of games that I really want to get to, that I didn't have time to finish, Dredge goes ahead of Talos Principle because I'm currently playing Talos Principle. That's essentially why it's on the list. They would put it above it. In terms of the other ones on the list, they would probably be in the same boat. In fact, I would probably put, if we're actually ordering this list beyond 3, Cocoon would be higher for the exact same reason. And likewise, Bilkins Folly would be higher as well. But
Cocoon and Dredge are both a lot shorter too, so there's a lot less time investment.
Yep.
Which is part of the other reason why I would say maybe Talos Principle as a 2, because Dredge and Cocoon aren't going to take as much to get through as a Talos Principle 2 might.
Yeah, and it would just depend on if I wanted to play puzzle games in a row, and it would be Talos Principle. Cocoon is kind of puzzly more than anything.
It is, but in a different way. I could wrap my head around Cocoon. I barely needed to look anything up for Cocoon. I don't think I could. We watched me play that demo in for the checkout, and how much did I fuck around just not knowing what to do for some of the simplest shit?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm kind of leaning towards...
I have played and finished Sea of Stars, so I think that game's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I played enough of it to get to... I think it's going to be awesome too. Again, I haven't played enough of it to finish. So that's why I think it would probably be number 1. Maybe the order should be Dredge up to 2. Sea of Stars, Dredge, and Super Mario Brothers. Now, I have no intention of playing Super Mario Brothers, it must be said. I have no intention of playing it, but it's a game that you want to get back to. So, as a collective list... That's kind of what I'm thinking.
It's a game. I tried. Let me try and work this out in my head. So there are no Switch games on my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I only had I didn't. Despite buying it, or more importantly, despite pre-ordering it, I haven't actually played Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know why. I just thought that game's huge. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So that didn't get touched at all. I played through Super Mario RPG. I'll talk about that in our first proper episode back.
Mm-hmm.
I tried playing this docked because all my time with Super Mario Brothers Wonder had been in handheld mode.
Okay.
And it ran really well. It looked really nice. It was really good to play some of those hard levels. You could have it right up in front of you.
Yeah.
Docked, that thing does not run well.
Oh, really? That's the opposite.
That is actually... I would not want to play that docked because there's frame rate drops kind of frequently.
Okay.
In a way that's sort of how the fuck what the fuck is going on here?
That's a bit odd, considering it's normally with the other. You expect it to be the other way around in most cases.
I think the upscaling or up-rendering of it might be the problem with it because let's face it, the Switch is nowhere near the most powerful thing.
No, but
I like Super Mario Brothers.
Having said that, they designed that game for that platform because that's the only one they've got to fucking worry about. So it should run well in both modes. So
it should. But it doesn't.
Okay.
Particularly docked. I don't know why. It's that thing where it's I played that in waiting rooms and when I needed to hang around for work stuff and things like that, it did a good job of filling the time. For me, when I'm looking at this category, it's that thing of what games didn't I finish? What would I say is the best game of those? Now, I enjoyed Super Mario Brothers Wonder when I play it, but it's not something I'm hankering or fiending to get back to.
Okay, so that's
when we think about something like a Talos Principle 2,
or even a Cocoon,
I think you have stronger, or Cocoon. I'm not going to argue against Cocoon. Cocoon's fucking incredible, but I think a game like either Cocoon because I've finished, I'd have a harder time saying put that above Talos Principle.
Because we both haven't finished
a category like this.
Because we both haven't finished it, essentially, haven't it? Because not that you plan on
playing. Cocoon.
Yeah, but you've finished Cocoon, but you've finished Cocoon, but I've not finished it. We've both not finished Talos Principle 2 is what I'm getting at. Maybe you'll never play Talos Principle 2, but there's probably more likelihood.
I think from the confines of what this category is actually talking about and what it refers to and how we want to talk about it, do I personally think Mario Brothers Wonder plays better than Talos Principle 2? Maybe in certain regards. I think based on the demo, when you think about the expansiveness and the changes they've made to the Talos Principle 2, that more open world sort of format with more bits and pieces, nooks and crannies to look into, all that sort of stuff, there's a much more interesting game there. Mario Brothers Wonder is just a really cool 2D Mario game with some weird fucked up shit happening sometimes when you get the flower thing. So, So
in terms of what they've done to the structure of Talos Principle 2 versus the first one, it's a much bigger game, no doubt. You've got fully voiced NPC characters that are progressing the story along.
That too.
You've got multiple areas you visit and you do multiple puzzles in each and progressing this sort of overall story. The expansiveness of what they've done to that game for Talos Principle 2 does mean that it kind of it's you say the Mario Brothers games have been kind of the same for kind of all of them for the most part, except for Odyssey went 3D and stuff like that as it did. But whereas Talos Principle II is a much more expansive version than the previous one, so it's probably got more appeal in that perspective. But yeah.
And to me, I'd say, I'm not massively champing at the bit to get back to Mario Brothers Wonder. I know that'll be something I'll maybe chip away at. It's not something I'm going to go, oh, fuck, I really wish I had got to playing that, got to finishing that. I suspect you have that sort of feeling for Talos Principle 2, that if you had the amount of time, you would want to have finished that. So
absolutely.
That's where, to me, bump Talos up, knock Mario down, and there's our 3.
If you're happy with that, because I was kind of leaning towards keeping your game in the list, but if you're not wanting to die on a hill about it, I'm happy to do that.
Hell no. Not over Mario Wonder. I like Mario Wonder, don't get me wrong, but I'm not dying on a hill on that one.
So then let's, before we, because I'm happy with that list as it is, would you put the Cocoon above Talos Principle 2, knowing you've finished it and I haven't? Should I, if you were to put this question onto me, you should finish Dredge, Sea of Stars, and before, and you're knowing that you've done Cocoon, but yeah, I don't know. Understand what I'm getting at for that question?
Like, if I was going to go that route, having finished Sea of Stars, having finished Dredge, having finished Cocoon, I would actually have Cocoon in there instead of Sea of Stars.
Oh, would you really? You'd actually put Sea of Stars below Cocoon? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. Just because
purely from a
completed game perspective.
Cocoon is a lot smaller.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
It's a lot smaller. It's a lot more manageable. It's a lot more finishable.
Mm-hmm.
There's an originality to Cocoon and its mechanics and what it's trying to do. Sea of Stars is a very, very, very good game, and it's the game that made me sort of, for lack of a better term, more interested and more respectful of the JRPG style, because I never played those before.
Yep.
But Cocoon is fucking incredible.
Yeah, yep.
So, like, if we're going from of those 3 that I've finished, well, I finished Miasma Chronicles as well, but that's out, so it doesn't matter. Of those 3, I would say Cocoon, Dredge, Sea of Stars in that order.
Yep.
But, like, again, it's not just about me. So, like, it's that idea where perhaps the winner is a Talos Principle 2, and then it's what are the 2 runners up? What's 2 and 3? Because, like, there's elements of Sea of Stars that while I really enjoyed playing it, there are some narrative hooks and narrative elements of Sea of Stars that I'm trying to not say too much because I know you want to get back to it and finish it. There's a heel turn that is incredibly predictable.
Okay.
Where, like, assuming you understand the concept of the heel turn.
No, yes.
All right, wonderful. That, like, I think even that is possibly saying too much about it, but that, in a way, is enough to knock Sea of Stars out for me as a best game. We didn't, like, anything with the word best game in it, or a game for me to say to you, yo, you need to play it and finish this. If I'm saying, yo, you need to play it and finish this, out of those 4 games that I finished, Cocoon and Dredge are the 2, not Sea of Stars. Okay. And I really like Sea of Stars, but it doesn't hold a candle to those 2.
Okay. So I've just done a bit of a reorder. So I've now put so we can look at this to see what we think. Cocoon 1, Dredge 2, and Talos Principle 3. That means Sea of Stars dropped down to 4, basically. Dropped out of that top 3. And Mario Brothers even further. So,
I mean, the ordering outside the top 3, I could give less than a fuck.
No.
I feel like the winner here should be...
So the way that I see this category as well is, if you've finished a game, and I haven't, then you've got that knowledge to say this game is really good, and you should complete it. Because the game, I might be halfway through Cocoon and think, oh, this game's friggin' awesome. You finish it, oh, this thing dies in the arse after halfway through.
Which is what I meant about that. Not that Sea of Stars dies in the arse. It definitely doesn't do that. But there's some narrative choices that are like, really?
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get at. You've got more of an understanding of what those games are end to end. So I would use that as a guide more than anything. So if you think Cocoon is a better of those, I'm happy with this list too. So
Cocoon's fucking awesome.
I mean, I like Cocoon playing what I did.
I also played the Ice DLC for Dredge, and that's really, really cool as well.
Okay.
That DLC just fits really nicely into the main game. I really enjoyed going back to that.
I'm happy with that list.
I mean, I'm not going to say that Cocoon shouldn't win, because Cocoon is fucking incredible. There's a part of me that thinks, well, if I've finished it, is it me somewhat overtaking the conversation? But I also get what you're saying, where it's like, you fucking finished this. It's fucking amazing.
That's what I'm really getting at. Like, if you've got you've finished of the 4 games or the 6 games we've kicked off to the side, that you've done Miasma Chronicles and Sea of Stars and Cocoon and Dredge. I've finished none of them, hence why they're on the list. You know, so if you've got more of an understanding of what those games are end to end and really can recommend them, then I think they kind of deserve to be on this list, high up the list. And and Cocoon would be on that list for me for sure. That's why I had it. You know, was happy to have it in the list somewhere. If you, I
dug Cocoon. That game's. Yeah, that's a game I shouldn't like, because normally I'm too stupid for puzzle games, and I fucking loved it.
Nope, I'm happy with that. Let's lock that one in, Eddie. So that one's done. So the winner of best game we didn't get time to finish is Cocoon. Runners up are Dredge and Talos Principle II. We've got I won't worry about the honorable mentions. You can see them later. But yeah, so there are that is the first category off the books.
You really should finish Cocoon and Dredge. They're short enough where you can knock through them pretty quick.
I probably should do that. Alrighty.
Good note.
Next category. So, so far the website is holding.
This is probably the most technically advanced.
Yeah,
we've done this in different ways in the past.
We've done this in different ways in the past. This one's going to be even more interesting, because we're going to try and see how this works. We're going to see how this goes. So we've got best noise. So this is a sort of a combined category, but it does kind of focus more on the soundtrack, but it can cover other aspects. So, looking at soundtrack, you're looking at audio design of the actual game itself, so sound effects, things like that. Also, a big part of that can be voice acting as well. Yep. But primarily, it's kind of more designed to focus on the soundtrack. Although, we'll see how we go. So, we've got quite a few nominations. We have Hi-Fi Rush. We have Sunshine Shuffle, System Shock, Cocoon, Sea of Stars, Gunbrella, Assassin's Creed Mirage, American Arcadia, 9 Years of Shadows, Jusant, which I think is how you pronounce that, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, Dead Space, Dredge, Dave the Diver, Alan Wake 2, and a bit of a late entry into this one, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora.
We didn't be outside you playing that while we were off.
Yeah, I did play it for a little bit.
What the fuck?
I played it for a little bit. I got it through the Ubisoft thing. I didn't pay for it, so that's why. Well, it's I haven't played enough of it to be on any list except for 2.
Is it
this one is also on best looking.
Play?
It's actually okay.
Not bad.
It's actually not bad. It's actually not bad. All right. So, any games you want to remove because they shouldn't be there in the first place? I'm not seeing any.
I'm not seeing any that shouldn't be there because it doesn't qualify.
Yeah, that's the main thing for removing a game.
It's more a conversation of, okay, let's start eliminating games.
Yeah, so that's a different discussion. The idea behind the removed game is that a game isn't eligible for the category it wasn't released in the right window.
I think every single one on here is eligible.
Yeah, that's one. That's one. Just making sure we've got that list. Nothing to add. I don't think there is. I can't think of any.
Off the top of my head.
Nope. All right, let's dive in. So this category has a bunch of links to soundtrack stuff for the most part, because a lot of them do have soundtracks, which is the main reason why they're on this list. And that's why we've actually got this. I'm running this off this computer. So when I click onto YouTube, hopefully it fucking works. It should find out very soon. Right, so let's have a look through. So any games you want to get rid of out of the box from your perspective, the ones you added to this list?
I will say 9 Years of Shadow from memory had a pretty decent sort of atmospheric style soundtrack. It is not going to stack to anything we got on here.
All right. So
it doesn't come close to anything I would even consider top 5.
Okay.
Sunshine Shuffle, I would also probably dip to take that out, because as good as that Scar soundtrack is while you're playing poker against these weird little criminal animals, sadly the Scar soundtrack isn't going to hold up against the quality of what we got on here as well. Right, so I think 9 Years of Shadows and Sunshine Shuffle, while having very good soundtracks, they're not going to hold.
All
right. I think now it's the how do we figure this out?
Yeah, figure this one out. So let's look at what you've nominated half a dozen games, I think, on this list. Why have you nominated Hi-Fi Rush? That's obvious. That game is based on music. That's fairly obvious.
I was going to say partly the music is. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, System Shock. That's soundtrack primarily, I'm guessing, or.
For the most part, and it's sound design. There's some really interesting and well done sound effects and voice at work in there.
Cocoon? Is that soundtrack as well?
I really like the sort of atmospheric just the way the atmospheric noise.
It's not the sound design of that game per se. Yep.
To call it a soundtrack is maybe
no.
Generous, but maybe
soundtrack. I'm talking about the music when I say soundtrack. If you're
that's what I mean.
If you've nominated for sound design, that's fine. I'm not. I'm trying to understand why they've been nominated. Is what I'm trying to get my head around.
It's possibly a little too sparse. It works super well within Cocoon. I think if you put it up against some of the other games we've got here, I don't think it's gonna hang.
Yep. Well, we can make that call later.
Got that on the bingo card.
Yep.
I think you can maybe take Cocoon off.
We'll leave it there for a moment. That's fine. Sea of Stars.
I thought that had a really cool sort of retro vibe soundtrack.
I think the soundtrack for that one was actually just quite good. Gumbrella, I know you've linked that to a soundtrack once. That's soundtrack and basic.
Very much the same as Cocoon. It's very much that same vibe of it's more atmospheric noise than it is pure soundtrack.
Yep.
But it does a really good job of just creating this sort of Old West / almost crime thrillery sort of vibe to it.
Yep.
Revenge tale idea. It does a really good job with that.
Yep. Assassin's Creed Mirage is purely for the soundtrack. So we'll get to that.
Is that Austin Wintory again?
I don't believe it is. No, we'll come to that. I don't believe it is. American Arcadia, I've done that purely for the voice acting. The music in it is good.
I think the music in that's really quite good too.
Music is good in it, but I think primarily when I was thinking about nominating, it was the sound design of the characters that really did it. Descent, I think it might have been you might have done this one.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just the sound design of the game itself? Yep.
That real again sort of sparse noise to create that isolation as you're climbing up this massive fucking mountain.
Yeah, I mean,
and
there's no
way in which it uses the sound.
I don't recall many like soundtrack moments, but just the sound design of as you say, climbing up the mountain was really, especially with the wind sort of rustling through and stuff like that, was really good. The Shadow Gambit, the Cursed Crew, that's primarily around the voice acting in that game. They've got half a dozen, or not more than that, 9, 10 voice actors that are really, really prominent and really, really good. The music is there, but it's not the main reason why I've nominated that one. Dead Space.
Pure sound design.
Sound design, yep. Dredge, sound design as well.
Dredge will be sound design, and again, partly that atmospheric soundtrack, just doing a really good job setting up the dread of what you're going through.
Dave the Diver. Music was really good, but also just some of the general sound design and how they, like when you were fishing and stuff, the sound of all that stuff sounded really good. But the main reason
the sound effect work in that game is really quite good.
It's really good, but the music is its big thing.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to that game a lot in best looking, but that's
another game that we're going to come back to quite a bit.
Another game we're going to come back to quite a bit is Alan Wake 2.
Everything.
I'm guessing that's everything, I should imagine, based on that one.
Voice acting is fucking amazing. Sorry.
Yeah, and just the last one on the list is Avatar. The only reason I've nominated that one, I've only played that for maybe 2 hours tops, so I'm probably going to remove it from this list, but One thing I did notice in it was that the sound effects when you got into certain areas was really, really good. There's a moment we'll get to when we get to the best looking part of this, where you open up into this jungle environment and the noise of the birds and the animals getting thing was just really, really good. But beyond that, I can't say anything more than that, so I think at this point I'm just going to drop it. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that game has some really good early sound effects in it, sound design.
Assassin's Creed Mirage's composer is Brendan Angelides.
Okay. All right.
His first video game work.
Okay. So we're now down to, just so we've cut down just 3 games out of this list. We've got left Hi-Fi Rush, System Shock, Cocoon, Sea of Stars, Gunbrella, Assassin's Creed Mirage, American Arcadia, Jusant, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, Dead Space, Dredge, Dave the Diver, Alan Wake 2, and that is what we are left with at the moment. And we've got 13 games. We've got to get rid of 10 of them, essentially, which are going to be really bloody difficult.
You can get rid of Cocoon, Jusant, and Dredge for very much the same reason. While the sound and the audio design is really strong in creating that atmosphere and creating that place, I don't think it's as strong orally as some of the other games we've got.
Yeah, and if you've got a game like Alan Wake, which sort of excels in all the areas we're referring to in this one, it's probably going to be, that's a game that's got more categories covered, for the want of a better term, in the audio spectrum, for the want. It's probably going to be more up front. So you were saying get rid of Cocoon.
And Cocoon is something that does the minimalist audio really, really well.
Yep, Jusant you said as well.
As does Jusant, actually.
Yep,
Jusant and
was the last one Dredge you mentioned?
Gunbrella. Gunbrella you can take off as well, and probably Dredge.
Okay, I thought you were really high on
Gunbrella can go. I'm fine with Gunbrella going. I just wanted to go, I really like the music on this thing. I don't think it has to be in the top 3.
Well, let's just click back onto that, and then let's just listen to it. Let's try this link and see what happens. About to find out.
Yeah, we need to try it at some point.
Yeah. You got a bit. I'll just go introduction.
I can't. Yeah, I love when the dude goes Gunbrella.
I'm hoping you can hear that.
I can hear it.
I think that's coming through. That is a track called Introduction. Yeah, I can see what you're saying about the atmospheric nature of it. It is, yeah. Let's just go back and find one a bit later on, just to see if it sort of changes much.
And you can see how it's got that old westy vibe while still keeping a sort of noir-y revenge tale vibe to it as well.
Oh yeah, I can see what they're saying with the West. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see why you nominated it, that's for sure. I could probably also see, based on what else we've got on this list, why it might not make the...
I don't think it overcomes what else we've got here.
Yeah. But no, that sounds really good. Is that the artist? Or is that just person? Is that the artist of this particular...
I don't know.
Let's go. Do you want to just go check out who made that, so we can give them the credit they deserve before we kick them from this category? I imagine that's probably the person who's put the soundtrack up rather than the person who made it, but you never know.
Composed by Britt Brady and Hyperstep, with additional instrumentation by ZBW. So it might just be the YouTube user who put the videos together or something. I don't know.
Yes, we are relying on maybe a little bit of grey area in terms of this stuff being audio, so we're hoping this doesn't get copyright struck this episode. We'll see how we go.
Fair use.
So we'll drop out Gunbrella and we'll go down to Dredge and remove him as well. So now we're left with Hi-Fi Rush, System Shock, Sea of Stars, Assassin's Creed Mirage, American Arcadia, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, Dead Space, Dave the Diver, and Alan Wake 2. 9 games we have. I'm going to get rid of, I think, based on what I'm going to show you the. Let's go through these games in order. We've got a System Shock. Let's click on this link that you've provided. I assume it goes off to a soundtrack. Okay, it is a full soundtrack. We're looking at an hour and a half, so that's a good amount of music. This is a Look At You Hacker, which is probably one of the first. Oh, that's nice.
It's really dope, like synthwavey, cyberpunky sort of vibe. I forgot how dope this music is.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Looks like they've
I
got.
don't think it's gonna make it.
Probably not, but I wouldn't be reviewing it just yet.
Fuck. Oh.
So that's the intro. That's just the intro song, which I assume is probably. Look like they've got the music sort of separating into different sort of categories, but let's have a look at one that's based on.
It's just chapters and environments that it's based into.
Okay, let's have a look at this one that's Fusion Energy Reactor / Combat. Oh yeah, that is real good. Just skip forward a bit in this one. Oh yeah, that is. Yeah.
This is. Oh fuck! I've got a bunch of synths trying to chase me and kill me. What
yeah,
the hell?
Yeah. Let's just skip forward to this section. Yeah, that's real good. I wouldn't be removing it just yet, but yeah, that's real good. All right.
That's oh man.
Sea of Stars.
Fuck.
This soundtrack is 5.5, nearly over 5 hours long, which is a bit on the excessive side. There are
for a game that's as long as it is, though, it makes sense.
Kind of makes sense. Over 130 tracks. This is just the title screen. Let's just click on a random one just to see what this is like. Yeah, I really did like the soundtrack, the bit I played of it. It's just like it's kind of
Super Nintendo style.
Yeah, I was going to say like you could consider it like, for the want of a really reductive term, like a traditional JRPG kind of soundtrack. But that's not to take anything away from it. I really did enjoy this.
No. It's very much like, what do we remember Super Nintendo music sounding like, not what it actually sounds like?
Yeah. Mind you, then get a song like this. This is, you know. Yeah. He may not make the list, might make the top 3, but I wouldn't be removing it just yet, because that's really...
The one thing I will say about certain elements of the soundtrack is that you hear some of the combat music way too often.
A bit of repeating stuff, okay, yeah.
Because of the number of times you end up in combat with just like enemies in the environment and stuff like that, you'll end up hearing basically the same song.
Okay, yep.
And like, for as good as this specific song is, you hear it a lot.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough.
So I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I guess it'd be hard in a...
Eric W. Brown and Yoshinori Mitsudo.
Yeah. I now want to go back to the first category, put this high up the list. No, just kidding. just for the soundtrack. That's all good.
Soundtrack, right, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Alrighty, I think we'll leave that one there for the time being. Let's jump into Assassin's Creed Mirage. So the thing that is really good, just as a complete side effect here, is that Ubisoft put all of their music on YouTube in full. They've done it for several years now. So this is actually from an Ubisoft music channel, essentially. I think this one I'm going to probably drop this based on what we've heard, given what we've heard so far. It is kind of... This is going to sound reductive in a way, but it's set in Baghdad, so your music is going to sound a lot the same throughout the entire game because of that setting. You don't get a lot of variety in that. It is very good music, don't get me wrong, really good music.
I was going to say, is there something about using the music to create that sense of space and place?
It can, but it's not really... it's not the highlight of the game, if that makes sense from my perspective, but... It does have some really good music in it though.
It also does just strike me as every other Assassin, like not.
Yeah.
Very reductively, but every other Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, like they've got a style for their soundtracks because they've got the money to throw a full-on orchestra at it and a bloody high-level, conductor and stuff like that. So it does have a little bit of that to it, but yeah, again, not to take anything away from it. It is really, really good music.
That's a bit of a flop.
Yeah. I've actually gone and bought this soundtrack to listen to while I'm working, so that's kind of how I sort of debating about soundtracks now is if I can work to it, yeah. So I think that will stay for a bit longer, but I think it might not quite make it. But yeah, I really dig the soundtrack for this one. I'm so glad that's actually working, all that stuff. So American Arcadia, I don't actually have anything for that directly. Let's see if we can actually... You want to vamp for a bit? I'm going to see if we can find something for it.
I think American Arcadia has strengths in both.
You finished it, didn't you? You did finish that game? I know you played it.
I did finish it.
You did finish it. Okay, cool.
It took a bit of doing for me to actually finish American Arcadia because there were a few points where I was like, fuck this!
Yeah,
there were some things...
It does have its moments.
My whole thing about that game is I love the look, the audio design, in general, the sound work, the voice acting, the music, all that sort of stuff. Great. The actual physical act of playing it, fine. What they actually get you to do with that physical act of playing it, fuck some of that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Anyway, that's not what we're here discussing this category. So
that's not what we're here for. But I needed to get that out somewhere because I don't know if I'll be going to get the chance to say that at any other point. But holy fuck, there was at least 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times, where I was just like, I'm not playing this anymore. Fuck this. But I forced myself because I knew the story was going to be something we were going to have to talk about. I'm like, I'm going to indulge in my quote unquote professional duty to play through it, get the story down, and everything like that. The story takes some great fucking turns, though.
Oh yeah,
We're talking about story, but it does take some great turns, and the way in which the sound is used to create the 70s style vibe that they've got for the city of Arcadia, the way in which they use relatively traditional sounding pursuit music and stuff like that fits that 70s vibe, even when you're in the real world, and the voice acting, it's all done really quite well in a way that sort of helps propel some of the elements of the game. If the voice acting and the story weren't as strong, you wouldn't bother playing through it.
No, 100%.
And the voice acting is pretty integral to the actual playing, to push you through that and develop that story further, because you get those interview segments where I don't think it's actually revealed who the fuck they're talking to for those interviews, by the way. I can't remember that.
It sort of is. We'll come to that later.
We'll have to come to that later, because I literally can't remember who they were talking to at that point.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I have found a link.
But yeah, it's...
I've only just found them. Let's see who this actually uses. So it does have a pretty good... I mean, the music is good. Actually, here we go. And it does suit what you're doing at the time. The music does suit it very well, and it is suiting to the theme of the whole game in terms of the
it
70s,
really does help with that creation of 60, the setting, a time period, a place, a space for this character to inhabit, and then when he's freaking out, the not composition, the what's the word, juxtaposition between modern-ish music or this 70s style music and Trevor going, what the fuck, this is all real, this is all fake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it is good music, but it is also again, we're going to sound really reductive by saying this sort of thing. It is not setting anything really new. This is a chase sequence. This sounds like chase music,
This sounds like music from fucking, what's the movie where Tommy Lee Jones is trying to chase down people? The Fugitive?
Yeah, Fugitive, and there's another one after that. Can't remember what it's called. But
shit like that?
Yeah.
Oh, this was one section that pissed me off a little bit, actually.
Yeah. I think we can probably cut it. I'm happy to cut it if you are.
Yeah,
alright. So
it's a shame that video doesn't really show off the voice acting.
No, I was hoping it would.
It's still really, really good.
I think the voice acting is where I think that game really does shine. All right.
Trevor's whole, what the fuck is going on?
What's going on? So the voice acting is the main reason why I've nominated Shadow Gambit. There are how many characters in that game? 10 main characters. 10 characters that you interact with on a regular basis. The main character is actually that character that's on the front of the art there, Afia Matakato. Her voice acting is just brilliant. The writing is really, really good. I'm going to go and see if I can find something that highlights it because it is really, really good. In fact, I do have the soundtrack for this game, so let me see if I can actually dig it out because this could be interesting. It's actually got it as MP3s, so let's see how this works in VMix. We're going to do one of those. We're going to grab that.
I'm just waiting for it all to fucking catch fire now. You're trying to play MP3s. Modern computers don't know how to handle MP3s and just set everything on fucking fire. Oh no!
So bear with me a second while we do this. So I'll just grab up the main menu. So the game is based around a crew of pirates, so you can sort of see the music is going to be heavily pirate focused, you could say.
You can rap over this. I was gonna say, it is pretty loud.
Yeah, so I think that's one of them, and let's just have a... I was going to see if I
It's hell of pirate vibes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But like that supernatural pirate vibes. Kind of like Monkey Island.
Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly.
I think there's a Monkey Island style vibe. Just not quite as frivolous.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can find...
This music's not bad.
It's not bad. It is, as I said, the music is really, really good.
I don't think the music is as strong as like a System Shock or
no, I agree. As I said,
Stars.
It's not quite to that level, but it is still quite good. I have found a link to some audio, hopefully of the voice acting. So we'll just stop that playing. That's good. That didn't completely explode on me. That's really good.
always encouraging when something doesn't completely shit the bed.
Yeah. So this just explains you during the game you actually reviving crewmates as you go along. This is the main character, Afia Matakato. And you
shot him with a soul bullet.
Pretty much that's exactly what it is actually.
Yeah.
Another black pearl in my chest. A feast of energy for my soul. Much obliged.
So, you're Toya of the East.
Just Toya, if you please.
That's right. She has like a bit of a Jamaican vibe
Jamaican,
to it, doesn't she?
yeah.
That's right.
And you play as this character mainly. She's the main character of the whole game, so you hear a lot of her speaking. So yeah, like you do hear a lot of her.
Afia Matakato. I'm the one who pulled you out of Ignatius' jaws.
Promising.
And you also have...
He has a pretty decent scumbaggy voice.
Yeah. So this is a French sort of base character. Gael.
Oh, this dipshit's the one who speaks all in poetry, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And then you've got...
John.
You must visit the training deck.
this is Red Marley, so she's the character that is actually the boat.
Basically the soul of the ship and all that sort of shit.
Yeah. So the main reason I mean, now I'm doing this again, I'm now listening to music. I don't want to get rid of that game. I think it should be on the list. But
That's fine.
I think we'll come to that. But I just think the voice acting is brilliant. The music's really good. The sound effects don't play like you've seen the same game, same stabby motions and stabby actions a lot. So it's not that's not a main thing of it.
Man, if we were titling this podcast, I'd be saying stabby actions is the title. Fucking hands down.
Dead Space. Anything from you about
Dead Space is really strong. Is really strong from a sound design perspective. Trying to create the sense of dread and terror while exploring the Ishimura, having the different necromorphs run up on you and try and do you in. When you're in the 0G, the sparseness of the sound that sort of replicates that style of you're actually in space. It does an awesome job of creating that environment. Mm-hmm. There's something to be said that this being a remake, they've done this shit before.
Yep, very cool. Yep.
For some reason, I didn't put Resident Evil 4 on here because, Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space are very much two of a kind.
Yep.
But because they've done all this shit before, it's done. I feel like it's done better here.
Yep.
But the improvements are incremental. Okay. They've got better sound hardware and shit like that to work with, and better computational hardware to work with to make it all work as well as it does. It's not like this. This is literally a remake of a game that came out on the Xbox 360.
Yeah. So
it's just a qualitative improvement and a marginal one, because let's face it, Dead Space and Dead Space 2 really did set some precedents for that sound design, particularly within horror and survival horror games on a console slash PC. But because of those initial origins, it's when you look at it in the scope of here's a list of games that are the best audio elements of the year, it's less impressive by its existing origins and those incremental improvements to those origins. Taken on its own, it sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's not like they haven't done. It's not like this thing wasn't done before, and they already had the blueprint. They just knew, okay, how do we maybe improve some of this sound design in places, take advantage of some of the more modern hardware, stuff like that.
Yep.
I love the sound. It's fucking great. I love Dead Space. It can go.
Okay. Right, let's go back down to Dave the Diver. I, again, have some audio to play. So we'll just do some audio input. We'll do audio and we'll browse to not there.
I think one of the strengths of the soundtrack for this is there's every chance to try and make this game more actiony than it actually is. But they do a really good job of creating the sort of chill vibe while still putting some impetus to keep going.
Yeah, yep.
Like there is some of those scenes where it gets a bit more dramatic and there's a little bit more of a flourish of music to encourage that. The little musical interludes you get during the cutscenes, like when Bancho's creating new sushi recipes and stuff like that, it adds to the experience of, this is fucking ridiculous, but also incredible.
Yeah. Let's
I think best looking is our actual hardest category.
No, for sure.
But this one's always hard.
Yeah.
This one's always hard. I don't think Dave the Diver's going to make it, man. I think Dave's going to drown.
I'm just trying to get this up.
I had that happen a few times. Fucking sharks.
I think it's not
going to... And the other, there's all the different mechanics and stuff with, the phone, the different little phone games and your little, the little Tamagotchi, that you've got on your phone. They didn't need to soundtrack that, but they fucking did.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a dope little beepy, sort of MIDI-based sort of sound, music coming out your phone for this fucking Tamagotchi, and it's cool. And you go to the farm and it sounds like Stardew Valley.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get into the actual game later on because it's going to come up in multiple categories.
That's going to come up a lot.
So we'll get to the more mechanics of the game.
Best indie game.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like it's got a lot of little parts to it, and they all have their own sort of music to it. And I don't know what's going on here, but this is not.
There's such a cool charm to Dave the Diver that everything about it makes you forget that it comes from a massive fucking company.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that feeling of it coming from a massive company like Nexon, which is part of the reason why it's included in the game category at the Game Awards, while had its massive controversy, and rightly so. You can forgive it for that because it doesn't have the vibe of a big AAA release from a massive company.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the intro music, where it's got that tropical vibe as Dave's flying over to this fucking island and to this sushi joint. Oh, I like Dave the Diver.
So
I don't think it has a better soundtrack than System Shock or Sea of Thieves, though. Sea of Stars. Why the fuck did I say Sea of Thieves? I have a feeling that's going to happen a few times.
Never listen to this one.
I've heard this song so fucking often.
Yeah, so this is the main music on when you're diving. Just it's the main sort of you're doing stuff music, but it is really really good. Even though you do hear it a lot, it's really good. So
it does that job of creating a just very chill environment. While there is that impetus of get us some fucking fish so we can sell shit and make money.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, this is just so nice and relaxing.
It's just chill music. It suits the whole thing really well. Yeah, it is really, really good.
And going on big, like 15, 20-minute swims to try and catch all this weird deep sea food.
Yeah.
You don't mind because that music is just... Ooh.
Then you have this is
the restaurant music, isn't it?
There's a the restaurant music. So this is... like you've got the bit where you're doing the serving of the sushi and you run the restaurant part, and you've got this sort of music kicks in. So I mean, it does have a lot of variety to it, even though it is obviously repetitive to a degree because of what you're doing. But still, it is really, really good.
Like I said, I love the little soundtrack work they do on those cutscenes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, this is like it is really, really
Don't get me wrong.
It is really good music.
Good. I just don't think it's better than System Shock or Sea of Stars, and they're not even the ones I'm fighting the hardest for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as good as Shadow Gambit, but yeah, it is really, really good. So,
Dave the Diver, it's really, really good.
It's really, really good.
I got a feeling we're going to be saying that quite a lot.
All right, so you happy to cut Dave the Diver? Because I kind of am.
Cut Dave the Diver. It's great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It's not going to hang.
Alan Wake 2. Let's jump into
this. That fucker is not going anywhere.
Let's dive into this one.
Now we have a special surprise for you.
I'm going to get past all this crap.
So, this is like him talking is actually part of this performance. So just pause it for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's important, like when I saw this, I wanted to avoid this when I did the stream. I did the talk over of this because I was like, I haven't played Alan Wake 2 yet. I hope I don't. I don't want anything ruined for me because I've heard how good the story is and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things that's going to come up in Best Moment. Not only is this song fucking amazing, it has a very big and integral role in the actual, not only the narrative, but a gameplay set piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking amazing. And it's a Finnish band, and it's great.
Yeah, I can't play 4 minutes of it, so...
No, you don't have to.
What is that song?
I'm going to turn this up a little.
God, it sounds like a Eurovision song.
It does a bit. There's a bit of Eurovision vibe to it. There's a cheesiness to the Finnishness of it. Like, if people have heard of, like, 69 Eyes and him to an extent, it's kind of that vibe. The funniest part is this dude's not even the one singing, he's just lip syncing. because he's the model for Alan Wake too, but he's Finnish.
Yeah.
The voice actor is actually American. Yeah. He's the one doing the voice. So, the dudes on stage that are doing the performance, they're a band in the game. The band in the game is called Old Gods of Asgard.
Okay.
Look at that shredding! It's fucking sick! And but it's an actual from Finland called Poets of the Fall. And they did Late Goodbye, which was the closing credits music in Alan Wake 1.
Okay.
They brought them back as this band.
Yeah, okay.
But, it's hard to say more with... you get Sam Lake fucking dancing along and shit.
Yeah.
I think that dude really likes himself in games. It's fucking weird. But, that song, there's a cheesiness to it. There's a wink and nod of, yo, this is fucking weird. But it's just played serious enough where you go, this is fucking awesome. And they're not going over the top. To an extent, they're going over the top, but in a knowing way.
Yeah,
they're not trying to be super, super serious about it. But then you've got the actual voice acting, both from Alan, for the character, the voice who plays Alan. The voice actress for Saga is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And James McCaffrey putting in a really, really solid turn. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
But he's basically playing Max Payne to an extent, but it's still really, really well done. And Janina Gavinka.
Oh, okay.
Gavinka?
Gavinka,
she's
yeah.
in there as one of the agents from the in something investigative of Control.
Okay, yep.
So that's a sort of... But she does a really good job in there as well.
Mm.
Alan Wake 2 is fucking incredible. I love that song too.
The one game I haven't talked about yet is Hi-Fi Rush. Based on everything we've discussed, I don't think it's going to make this list.
Sad, which in a way is sad because this is the game that the music is most integral to.
It is literally the game is based on the music, so the fact that it isn't going to make a list is the top three is not sad, but I think it just goes to show that the other stuff is just...
It's a little bonkers.
A little bit... is so much...
Chai's running around with a fucking guitar that he hits dudes with.
Yeah. I mean... And
you get the environment jumping off and bopping along to the music. It's cool.
So if you were to do a top three now, what would yours be?
Alan Wake 2.
Yep.
Probably... For as much as I love the soundtrack and reminded how good the soundtrack for System Shock and Sea of Stars is, I think how integral the music is to Hi-Fi Rush, there's an extent to which it's a little unfair to cut it, even if I don't think the music is as good, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
That's sort of the importance and the place of the music, sort of that, to an extent, elevates Hi-Fi Rush a little more. Don't get me wrong, that System Shock and Sea of Stars soundtracks are both fucking incredible. What else we got?
Assassin's Creed.
I don't think Mirage fits because I think Mirage is very much just a typical, just a typical Assassin's Creed soundtrack, but not having played Shadow Gambit, I don't know.
Yeah, so for me, it would be Shadow Gambit, Alan Wake 2, and probably Sea of Stars. If you're going to die on a hill, if you're going to die on a hill about Alan Wake, I'm dying on a hill for Shadow Gambit.
Absolutely, that's fine. That's how I thought that was always going to go. So that's not a problem. If we're talking about a third, just from a pure musical quality discussion, for me, it's System Shock as the third.
Yeah, I can see that.
I really like the music from Sea of Stars.
I can see that. Yep.
And the other element of System Shock is that the voice acting behind Shodan is super strong as well. But again, it's a remake, so they've got an existing template or base to work with. So does that knock it for a Sea of Stars? Or does it knock it for Hi-Fi Rush?
Well, what's Hi-Fi Rush based on?
No, Hi-Fi Rush is because it's original.
Oh, original. Yeah. Yep.
System Shock being a remake, so they're sort of working within the framework or working within the scope of what they already had set up. And then Sea of Stars being It's not derivative, but it's very much inspired by JRPG style music.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 100%.
The originality and its central, how central and integral the music is to Hi-Fi Rush, maybe makes that number 3. And System Shock and Sea of Stars, we acknowledge, those soundtracks are fucking incredible.
Oh yeah,
but,
one thing we probably should have said it from the beginning. Any game that we discuss in any category, they're worth playing. Don't get us wrong about that. Like
I think there's one game that's better as a TV show than it is as a game, but that's neither here nor there.
That's not discussing this category. But like if you're like we've not read of like a dozen games here, they're all worth playing for that aspect of their game. Like don't. Yeah, like. So you're thinking maybe... If you like
Scar, you should play cards with little animals.
So you're thinking that maybe we drop System Shock and we bring Sea of Stars... No, leave Hi-Fi Rush in. So you're thinking...
I think the originality and the central... How central and how integral the music is to what Hi-Fi Rush is as a game makes it a third option. I think the absolute quality of the Sea of Stars and System Shock soundtracks, for me, like, they're fantastic, but because they're working off existing frameworks or existing blueprints for that genre, or in System Shock's instance, that game.
Yeah.
Not that I know what the original System Shock soundtrack is, but it's doing sort of synthwavy, sort of really cool, dope, cyberpunky synthwavy stuff, but it's not like it hasn't been done.
Yeah. I'm happy with the list. We've got Alan Wake 1, Hi-Fi Rush 2, Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew 3. I'm happy with that.
I mean, if you want to fix the order, maybe flip Shadow Gambit and Hi-Fi Rush.
That was the only thing we do, but I kind of see what you're getting at in terms of the music is Hi-Fi Rush. Like, that is what that game is.
The voice acting's still really good.
Like, the voice acting is really good. I mean,
the voice acting in Hi-Fi Rush is super strong.
Chai's
a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's an idiot, but he's a lovable one.
He's so sick of his shit.
Yeah, he's a lovable one, though.
And he's an absolutely lovable fucking idiot. There's some great character work in Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
The sound effects is probably maybe the slightly weakest part.
Yeah, that's probably
everything like jumping up, like go,
yeah,
go.
But the music,
like, fuck yeah, let's go.
The music is what sort of says that game. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that order. Right, you want to lock in best noise? Let's do it. So, best noise winner is Alan Wake 2 with runners-up Hi-Fi Rush and Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. And it does want to say really good games if you want to listen to some really good soundtrack and audio. Alright, we are 2 down. We have got 3 to go. And the last one's going to be really fucking difficult. So the fact we've now gone an hour...
The last one's going to be so fucking hard.
It's so hard. I don't know how we're going to do it. But anyway, we'll come back to that one in a moment. So, best new thing.
God.
So best new thing.
I'm surprised you've only really had one game on here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
Or maybe I already added like.
I think you added the ones you've added. I think you added the first 5, so they're all. I think can't remember. It doesn't matter.
Well, you didn't add Liza P or Laker, so.
No, but I think you added the other one, so it doesn't matter. Best new thing is essentially best new IP in essence.
Best non-sequel.
Best non-sequel. But it doesn't have to be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the first game by a new dev. It can be a game I've already made by the same dev, like sort of thing. Doesn't have to be big, small. Doesn't matter. But it is not a sequel, as we said, and also is generally aimed more at the indie stuff, but not necessarily strictly limited to that.
Doesn't have to be, but that tends to be where you get more sort of interesting innovation and new things.
Yep. So we've only got 7 nominees for this category. We have Jusant, Day of the Diver, Cocoon, Dredge, Viewfinder, Lies of P, and what's that last one? Was it
Laker Age Through Blood?
Age Through Blood. Anything to add before we go into it? I don't think there is. We'll just dive in.
I mean, anything I would add would just be put it on to take it off.
Yeah,
which is not worth doing. Which isn't worth doing.
Yep. All right, let's jump in and have a look. So is this category? Is this category? Just going to say this: Dave the Diver, Cocoon, and Dredge. Is that it? Because it kind of is to me.
I think there's a discussion. I think there's a discussion around Viewfinder.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
I think there's a discussion around
before we go any
Viewfinder
further,
as being...
Dave the Diver, definitely in the list.
It's fucking hard to say no.
All right, let's just go to one to begin with. I think Jasont could probably drop out of this list, but we'll come to that.
Yep.
Cocoon. What about Lies of P and...
Lies of P is a great... It's probably one... Like, there's one game I would put above it from a Souls-like of 2023.
That would have been Remnant Ashes 2,
You
I'm
could
guessing.
almost do a best Souls... Sorry?
That would Remnant Ashes 2, I'm guessing.
Remnant 2, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
This would be on par with Wo Long from a best Souls-like. It's sort of... Like, for people going, oh, it's Bloodborne 2. Kinda, but not really.
Yeah, okay.
I think it not being a From game or Team Ninja, because Team Ninja did Wo Long. They've done the 2 Neo games before it. Them creating a really cool, really interesting Souls-like is not surprising. Lies of P, there's an interesting setup with the puppet nature of everything and the narrative. And the reason the game's called Lies of P, which is real dumb, like, in order to get into a hotel... Because you're P, as in Pinocchio, you have to lie, and the word lie is emphasized in capitals and red letters, so it really emphasizes and drives home the fact that you're P and you're telling lies.
Okay.
So that to me is real dumb, but I actually really enjoyed playing this. It's not going to make it, but I really enjoyed playing it. I think it's like, there are a lot of quite a few Souls-likes this year, not as many as maybe years past, but this was a really good one.
So drop it from this list so far?
So Lies of P, hey?
Drop it from this list?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, okay.
It doesn't rise above the 4 we were talking about.
And I'm guessing then the same applies to Laker Age Through Blood in the... Not the same. The thing, but same sort of...
Not in the same way. It's a Metroidvania.
Okay, yep.
But pretty much all of the exploration takes place on a motorbike.
Oh, okay.
It's like, you're driving the bike and shooting people as you do it. And, like, in order to reload, you're flipping the bike and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yep.
It starts falling into some of the trappings of the Metroidvania faults where there's a little bit of sparseness between areas. The navigation's pretty fun. Like, the navigation is fun enough, and the combat's really interesting. Sometimes the combat gets a bit fucked.
Yep.
But just the fact that it's doing it on a motorbike.
Okay.
And there's actually a brutality and like a darkness to the narrative as well that's a bit, holy shit.
Okay.
Like, it can go. I really enjoyed it. I think it was an interesting innovation for Metroidvanias to have it all take place on a motorbike rather than running around. I really enjoyed it, but it's not gonna fit here. It's not gonna hang, as it were.
Do you mention Viewfinder as being a possible entries into the top 3? What do you see with Jusant?
I don't see Jusant hanging.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
Jusant, I love the idea.
The execution, the whole thing is really good. But compared to
elements of the execution, as far as the climbing part, kind of fucked me off a bit because there were parts where I was trying to move an arm to a place that wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't let me
but
do it.
That's just the nature of that tactile movement. Like, it's very similar to what was the robot one? We going up a beanstalk.
Oh,
grow up,
grow home, grow up, something like that.
Yeah. Grow home. Sorry, grow home.
Yep.
But also there were parts of Jusant I borderline had to look away and couldn't do because my fear of heights was fucking terrifying me.
Yeah, the fact that they could do that too is impressive.
It was fucking. I was like, oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm like, Like, it's very like, as an overall package, it's very good. It does not come close to these 4.
Yeah. So everyone who's listening, who has no idea what we're talking about, we've got Dave the Diver remaining, along with Cocoon, Dredge, and Viewfinder. We have kicked out of the list so far Lies of P, Laker. Is it Laker? How's it pronounced? Laker. Age Through Blood, and Jusant have been eliminated from our discussion. So really the only, like I said initially, Cocoon, Dave the Diver, and Dredge. You've want to put an argument forward for Viewfinder. I'm happy to look. To put it this way, at this point, any one of these 3, I'd be happy with. So I'm not gonna die in a ditch of any of these. But I would have thought that the way you saw a phrase of Cocoon, that it would make the list. But what do you think it would be listing? What would be miss out to put in for Viewfinder? Would be Cocoon to miss out, or
it would either be Cocoon or Viewfinder.
yeah.
Purely because from an originality standpoint, which to an extent is best new thing, but not exclusively.
Yeah.
To me, Dredge and Dave the Diver, while both being primarily sort of fishing games, I fucking hate fishing, but I love those two games.
Absolutely.
So there's also the fact that those two operate on a more original premise. That like Cocoon is it's like if you know what that team had done in the past before they created this studio and did Cocoon, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you say to me, the team that made Cocoon made Inside and Limbo.
Yep.
It'd be of course they did.
You can see how Cocoon.
You can see the pedigree, absolutely.
Yeah.
They've worked that pedigree to a point and refined that pedigree to a very fine point, to a point where I enjoyed it way more than Limbo.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it above Inside. Viewfinder, the first-person puzzle game, I mean, you automatically go to something like Portal.
Yes.
Like, it's not necessarily that's the originality of it. It's, like you said, the fucking sheer incredibleness and audacity to go, here's a fucking photo, whack that bitch down, and you can walk around it.
Yeah, and walk through it and walk into it.
And like walk through it or use it in the solution of puzzles.
Yeah, like it... like when you first do... The very first time you put down a puzzle piece and go, your draw drops. That's what it does. You go, how the hell have they done that? Like, how do they even come up with the concept of that being a thing you could do?
And then executing it.
And then making the game engine actually do that and not completely fall apart and just be like... But by the time you get to the end of that game, I don't know about you, but I think the ending is... How to describe this? I mean, obviously, the ending mission is really neat. Like the things you do, like the 9. Was it 9? I think you 9 little puzzles you do in quick succession is really neat.
Sure.
But the story itself kind of isn't really a thing.
The way the story wraps up is a little flat.
Little flat.
Yeah.
But like, I think the concept, the design, the execution, the look. It's damn impressive.
Some of the additional other things that it gets you to do, like some of the achievement stuff, is super fucking original. And it's really quite interesting how they do some of the things they get you to do for some of those achievements. And yeah, I didn't find most of those by myself. I'm probably not smart enough to figure that out. But when you see the guide, it's like, huh, really? That's how that works? And then you implement it. It's like, what the fuck? It's actually super cool how that part works about it as well. There's something to be said where I needed to look up a couple of things to be able to finish Viewfinder. There's only one thing I needed to look up to finish Cocoon. And that's because there was one element I wasn't quite considering on one of the later game puzzles. But it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I mean...
It's an absolute toss-up because they both look I think they look incredible in their own ways. Mechanically, they're both super, super interesting, and there is a sense of originality mechanically to both. Like, the going into and out of the orbs is super cool.
Yeah.
Walking through the photos that you get from Viewfinder, also super cool.
And it's not just that... I think I personally would probably put the Viewfinder in above Cocoon, but like when you get to like even in the opening, I think we even might have done it through our checkout. We did that. You put down a color, a pastel painting. You put down a black and white drawing. You put down a full-on photo, and they all just work in the environment. And you like they've done all this stuff, and then later on in the levels, you get you take your own photos, of course, and you can use them in the environment, and then use that combined with other stuff. When you've got I personally would probably put drop Cocoon out and go Dave the Diver, Dredge, and then Viewfinder. But I mean, I'm not. Do it. All right, let's do that. We'll drop him down.
I think when we're talking about from a best new thing, there is a bit more of an originality and not that Cocoon isn't just holy fuck.
Yeah.
But it absolutely is. But like, yeah, there's more of the whoa. How like.
Yeah.
This shouldn't work
Yeah.
in Viewfinder.
Exactly. That's the thing. That like when you first do the first one, go. Like there's a lot of huh moments in that game. We go, okay. There's what am I?
And the fact that you can keep going and not break it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you can put.
Because there were times I tried.
Yeah. I put the same photo. Like I take the photo. I think one thing I took a photo, put that in the environment, took another photo, put that in the environment. You just kept on doing that, and the game just handles it. And you go, okay.
I put shit in a photocopier and just ran out shit that shouldn't work, and it fucking did.
Yeah, you shouldn't like even like when you put even though going back in further, you take a photo of an object and you need that object and you can't physically get to it. So you take a photo of it, you aim up in this square, turn the photo upside down, plant it, and then the thing stomps out. You go, that's just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's easy. Cool. Finalising the best new thing.
Before you finalise it, is Dave the Diver the best new thing? Devil's Advocate. I fucking loved it.
No, I think it is.
Newness,
I think it is the best thing on this list. I put it above Dredge.
I love Dave the Diver and Dredge.
Yeah. All right, finalising the best new thing. It is Dave the Diver, the winner, with runners up Dredge and Viewfinder. Right. Best surprise.
That was quick.
That was quick. Yeah, this one might take a bit longer. So best surprise is generally can bring in just surprises. Like this thing is a good game. It could be a sequel. It could be other one. More than the fact that it was unexpected, more than it was.
Yep.
Like Alan Wake 2 wouldn't cover this game, even though it's very good. It's not a surprise that game is very good. Is the reason why it's not nominated.
The sheer scope and extent to which its very goodness would.
Yes.
But not in this case. I wouldn't say that for this specific category, no.
So, we have, I think we've got about 10, maybe 11 or so nominations. We have Dave the Diver, Hi-Fi Rush, Cocoon, there we go, done. Dusant.
No.
No. I'm just
not done.
Showgunners, My Friendly Neighborhood, Repeller Fella, Subpar Pool, You Will Die Here Tonight. Is that Suka Shapes? I'm going to proceed.
Suika Shapes, I think is how it's pronounced.
Suika. You can figure out how to pronounce that. Wulong Fallen Destiny and RoboCop Rogue City. I'm just thinking of any games to add to this. I'm not thinking of any.
Alan Wake 2! I wonder when that joke's going to stop being funny.
I don't think I'm seeing any. I mean, the Talos Principle II, as again, it was expected to be good.
Did you say Viewfinder?
Oh, Viewfinder. Maybe we could probably nominate Viewfinder. It wouldn't be out of place per se.
I don't know if it'd hit a top 3. That's the problem.
No, I don't think it's worth adding. I don't want to add a game that was in real contention for a top 3 rather than just, as you say, adding it for a movie.
Adding it, it's to add it, not adding it for the sake. Like sometimes it's like, yo, I want to say this. We've already said plenty about Viewfinder. I don't think it's going to work in this best surprise category.
I don't think, looking through the other sort of games we've sort of had nominated, I don't think it sort of would. No, I think we've got our list to start culling. So let's dive into our second last category of part 1.
Ho ho! Fuck you. Dive in, you motherfucker.
Alright, so we've got Dave the Diver, Hi-Fi Rush, Cocoon, Dusant, Showgunners, My Friendly Neighborhood, Repeller Fella, Subpar Pool, You Will Die Here Tonight, Suka Shapes, and Wulong Fallen Destiny, and RoboCop Rogue City. Any thoughts to begin with?
Showgunners is cool. It's basically XCOM, but sort of game show environment-y. You get the exploration of the world, like from a Miasma Chronicles or Mutant Year Zero. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's not going to hang.
Not going to hang?
It is not top 3.
All right. Done.
I
know about Dave the Diver, Hi-Fi Rush I've played, Cocoon I've played, Dusant I've played, My Friendly Neighborhood. Sell it to me.
My Friendly Neighborhood is what would happen if you put Resident Evil on Sesame Street.
Okay, I like the premise.
Like, and it's weird because what would happen if you put Resident Evil on an abandoned Sesame Street?
Okay.
Because all the puppets start going fucking nuts, and you go in as this technician trying to fix up the broadcast signal, and then shit just spirals.
Okay.
And you get this big fucking bird puppet robot thing walking around going ah, and
So
there's a weird sock puppet that comes out.
What sort of game is it? We're talking first person.
First person shooter, survival horror-y.
Okay.
There's a levity to the. It's hard to call it true survival horror.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not as quote unquote scary
Mm-hmm.
as you would expect from that sort of genre.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the form it's going for.
Yep. Repeller Fella, another one that you played and can finish, I believe.
This was the Australian point and click adventure game that was hell of Australian.
Okay, that one. Okay.
Yep. And it ended up telling a really weird, fucked up story about like an outside country. It basically went tomorrow when the war began.
Okay.
Which was weird. It can go. It's not going to hang.
Not going to go. All right.
I really dug Repeller Fella. It's better than it has any right to be. It's not going to hit this list. The Subpar Pool is the next game from the dude who made Downwell off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
It basically combines like pool and mini golf in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me a game like combines pool and mini golf and it works, it's not going to really be that much of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's executed on as well as it is made it something of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not going to hang.
Yeah.
It's cool. I dug it. I quote unquote finished it. I haven't gone back to it.
Mm-hmm. You will die here tonight.
Okay. There was an article on PC Game. There's a little bit of preamble here.
Mm-hmm.
There's an article on PC Game where it's like, yo, there's some games here that you almost guaranteed didn't hear of on the Steam sale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, fuck it. I grabbed a couple of them. This was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
For a Friday Night Fun, I booted this up.
Mm-hmm.
I played through the whole fucking thing for that episode of Friday Night Fun.
Mm-hmm.
The nature of the story, the directions that it goes, and the actual way the events of the story play out, there's nothing that suggests that's how it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to come up when we talk about best story and writing, but it starts off one way, it goes into another form, but then like you get about 80%, 90% of the way through, you think, yeah, sweet, I'm done. And then it goes, hey, guess what, fucker? No, you're not. In a way that's like, wait, what? Well, I'm trying not to say as much. I'll talk about it more for best story tomorrow. But not only did I play through it and get pretty much all but 2 achievements just accidentally.
Mm.
When I played through it for the Friday show, after I stopped recording, I kept the stream going and went back in to get the last 2 achievements.
Mm.
Because they weren't that hard, but it's such a interestingly
So what sort of game is
weird.
it?
So there's 2 components to it. Like, it's basically a lower budget version of Resident Evil.
Okay. Yep.
In some regards.
Mm-hmm.
The exploration element happens from like a sort of top-down or tilted sort of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily isometric, because isometric suggests it's like that.
Mm.
There's a slant to it. But when you hit combat, it almost turns light gunny.
Oh, okay.
Like, it goes first person, but you're using them. You can't move. You're using the mouse to basically click on the dude and shoot him.
Oh, okay. So something like
But
a
if it was
first-person fixed camera perspective, the combat is.
yeah,
And you're not.
if you had a like,
Yeah. Okay. Then you had a light
if
gun.
this came out in the PlayStation era,
Yeah, you have a light gun.
you would be able to do a light gun for this part, and it'd be fucking cool.
Yeah. Okay.
The look of it is good enough, but it plays well enough. There are a couple of puzzles I didn't quite get and had to look up while I was recording, but the sheer audacity of the story they tell in its presentation, that's really cool.
Sounds like it belongs at this point.
To an extent, yes. Okay, Suika Shapes. There's an extent... fuck. There's to which this game, somewhat, got in the way of Game of the Year stuff. I played that game for 31.2 hours.
Okay.
It's a puzzle game where you have different shape types. You can either choose to have like all circles, all triangles, all squares, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as you match colors, it turns into other colors and gets bigger.
Okay. Yep.
So you can see in the sort of key art, you got the little little pink hexagon, the big green circle. It incrementally goes up as you match color on color on color on color on color on color.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the Suika form has quote unquote gone viral because there was talk of one on a Switch. I'd never really heard of it until this.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumbled. How the fuck did I find this? I was looking through, like, you know, there's different exhibition type things that they'll do on Steam sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled into it through one of those, I think, and proceeded to play 30 plus hours. And like, I was using control initially, but then I found out you can just use the mouse, which is actually way easier because it's way more precise.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And I just had videos on the second screen playing this, and there was achievements for each of the shape types, which is like 15.
Mm-hmm.
Get 3,000 points, which some of those are fucking hard.
Mm.
And to match a double watermelon, which I was never going to go for, because watermelon is the biggest possible shape you can get.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the top tier. But because it takes up so much space, trying to actually actively get that to work is fucked. But I did not expect to play as much of this thing as I did. I kept playing it. I'm like, I really should stop playing this to play something else. But then I ended up deleting it so I could do that.
So should we delete it from this list? Or leave it on for the time being?
I feel like we should.
Okay. Delete it or leave it or delete it?
It's super cool. No, leave it. Sorry, delete it. Get rid of it off the list. Okay. It's super cool. It's not going to hold up to what we got.
Alright, we've got two more to discuss is Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
The only reason this is on the list is because when I played the demo, it unsold me on the game because I couldn't figure out the boss.
Okay.
Because the first boss, because it's less about dodging and blocking in this game as it is actively parrying.
Yeah, okay.
Which is not the case in like a Neo or a lot of the From games.
Yep.
Sekiro it absolutely is a part of, but even Elden Ring it's not. Elden Ring is more focused on the big open world. With Wolong, it's very much focused on the parry. Which Liza P is actually a little bit too, and the demo, the thing that the first boss is trying to really hammer home is you need to fucking get that timing of that parry down. I wasn't thinking in that way when I played the demo on stream. So I was like, it's cool, but I'm not going to get it.
Yep.
I took a dive. It was on Game Pass, so I had it installed anyway. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to have a crack. But I actively focused on getting the parry. Once I got that parry down, but it's a Team Ninja Souls-like. It's set in ancient China instead of ancient Japan. Is that a surprise that it turned out really, really good? No.
Probably not.
It was just my expectation from demo to game. It was literally just getting down that mechanic. First boss being such a skill check.
That doesn't...
It's just really emphasizing, you need to know this. You need to be able to do this, and emphasizing that. Once I got that down...
But that doesn't really mean it's a best surprise. That just means you didn't understand...
No, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think...
It was more the scope from the distance from demo to me playing the main game. But even then, it's not because
the game changed. That's because you
I figured it out and understood it better.
Yeah,
I approached it on its terms rather than tried mine.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit. This fucking does.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've not played it, but I know heard enough about it that it should really belong on a list like this because it should have come out of...
I played through it.
Yeah. We're talking about Robocop Rogue City for those who are on the podcast.
Now, I played the demo for this on one of the Friday night shows towards the end of last year. So the demo, I was like... I launched the demo basically thinking, this is going to be fucking shit. Yeah. Let's play this and see how bad it is. And as I was playing, I'm like, wait, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
Wait, this is actually pretty good. And then I got to the point... So the demo ends where you get to basically a semi-open world section. I ended it there because I'm like, all right, I'm going to play through this. At some point, I'm going to play through this. I'm going to leave it here so I don't have to repeat too much. I don't get too stuck into the demo. But this thing's cool. You play the full fucking game, and it makes RoboCop's slow-moving metal ass not only an interesting character, which it already was from the movies, not only are you just a walking badass tank where you're just busting fools in the head, but it actually makes it play well. And it's interesting because it doesn't just get you gunning down drug addicts and stuff like that. That one of the first things you do when you get back to the police station, one of the sergeant goes, "Yo, RoboCop, can you help me deal with these citizens' complaints?" And a part of the line, and you're going through making dialogue choices to deal with these citizens' complaints, and there's no wrong answer. Because RoboCop's prime directives are uphold the law, develop the public trust, protects innocence. So one option is very clearly uphold the law, but if you pick the other one, it still goes develop the public trust. So you're still getting positives out of that.
Yeah, getting positive stuff out of it, yeah.
And even the combat scenarios where it's like, okay, RoboCop doesn't move massively quickly because they added the ability to run, and it's not a fast run. It's not Doom, it's not Quake, but it still works. And like, it works better than it has any fucking right to. I almost put this on my top 10.
Okay.
Like, I went into the demo thinking it was going to be fucking garbage. I almost put it on my top 10.
So clearly it belongs. So we've culled 5 games. We're left with Dave the Diver, Hi-Fi Rush, Cocoon, Jusant, My Friendly Neighborhood, You Will Die Here Tonight, and RoboCop Rogue City.
I feel like My Friendly Neighborhood you can take off. Conceptually, that's the biggest surprise. Like, it being a sort of first-person shooter / survival horror-y type thing. I've really been digging Dead Space, Resident Evil games recently, stuff like that in the last couple of years. So that's not a surprise that's really cool. Jusant is a more real, quote-unquote, real world. Not exactly real world, but realer version of Grow Home to an extent. Again, maybe a little reductive. Is it surprising that sort of thing works and is interesting and entertaining? I don't think so.
Yeah, kind of with you on that one.
Not as surprising as some of the other things we've got here.
We'll leave it there for the time being, but I think I kind of get where you're coming from.
I think Cocoon isn't necessarily, when you look at the pedigree of where that studio came from, it's not as surprising.
Yeah, like when as you say, like it's. So I agree with that. Like I think it's probably it's a good game, but it's not surprising it's a good game because you've got people who made Limbo and Inside behind it. Not the full teams that behind those 2 games, but a fair chunk of them moved across.
Gameplay designer was the main dude who running that studio.
Yeah. Where do you sit Hi-Fi Rush? I mean, it's not a rhythm game. Rhythm games are not new, not unique. But I think
even a rhythm action game to an extent isn't that new because we had Metal Hellsinger, and there was at least 1 or 2 other sort of rhythmic shooters that came out on Steam, if not last year, 2022. The biggest surprise, it's Tango Gameworks, who has primarily been doing survival horror-y type stuff with The Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo. It had, I think Shinji Mikami used to run Tango. He's since left. He was one of the higher ups on Resident later mid-era Resident Evil. So them putting out a rhythm action game, no hype, not announced, no one knew about it. It just dropped. And it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it ended up being super cool.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it as the best game out of what we've got left, I don't think Hi-Fi Rush suits.
It probably wouldn't. But in terms of this game
from a surprise perspective,
this game came out of absolutely nowhere. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's up on the list for sure.
That's where I think, from a surprise perspective, there's an extent to which Dave the Diver almost doesn't quite fit.
For what purpose? Why does it doesn't fit?
Like so oftentimes, and this is not. I'm not. It's more of an explanation of the process. But oftentimes, you kind of have to get a little regressive, a little bit reductive when talking about some of these games and the justification for not having them on the list or whatever. Really beautiful pixel art. Have we seen games with really beautiful pixel art before?
No, yeah, I mean that's
like
the art style
side scrolling.
The art style's not part of the surprise.
I'm building up to the actual, like the side scrolliness of it. Yes, it's swimming, but it's not necessarily something we haven't seen before. The fishing element and the fishing element is way more original. The restaurant management is not necessarily original, but putting them together absolutely is.
Combine the farming stuff
from
as
a
well.
qualitative. And the farming stuff. Sorry, I forgot about that. Because there's the farming and the fish stuff work. The fish breeding stuff works since the farming thing too.
Yeah.
Not that we haven't seen those things before. It combining and working as well as it does, that is absolutely a surprise. Don't get me wrong. Is it a better surprise than what some of the other games we've got? I'm leaning to... It's not as big or as best a surprise as some of the other things we've got. But...
Wouldn't be, and I mean, I get where you're coming from, but wouldn't be removing it just yet. I mean, I think we're happy to remove Cocoon.
I think the fact that that's
the pedigree
of what...
Yeah, the pedigree of that is something.
Not that it's the same studio, but it being you can definitely tell is the gameplay lead behind Inside and Limbo.
Yeah. And you said Jusant probably wouldn't hang either. You think? Was it you? Yeah.
I don't think Jusant hangs.
Yeah.
It was cool. Visually, it's super interesting.
So I think some of the gameplay mechanics let it down a little bit. With some of the actual climbing stuff is not brilliant.
The awkwardness on some of the climbing is a bit weird.
Yeah, so I think probably from that it doesn't quite stick the landing, which is really not a... It's overstating it a little bit because it really does do a good job of what it does.
As an overall package, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But when you take that very small... the strength of the overall package doesn't quite get impacted by the clumsiness of the climbing in certain spots. But when we're talking about a top 3 games of this is the most surprising or best surprise we got from video games in 2023, it doesn't quite work. Because when we saw this, we were like, that looks rad.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it as well, is that gulf between expectation, reality. When we saw this stuff at the Microsoft streams, we were like, this is looking pretty good.
Yeah. And for the most part,
it turned out...
It was, but it didn't... it wasn't quite there. And we are talking really minuscule stuff here, to be brutally honest, where,
sometimes you're picking at the most unfair things possible to get down to a top
to try and distinguish it from something else. 100%, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're left with Dave the Diver, Hi-Fi Rush, You Will Die Here Tonight, and RoboCop Rogue City. My gut feel from what we've discussed, I think You Will Die Here Tonight drops out, and we sort the other 3. But that's me, based on what you've described. I think that's got to be in the list. RoboCop
absolutely has to
be in the list. I think that's a given. So we'll jump that up the list now to number 1. I think Hi-Fi Rush. I don't know. My gut feel is the list I've got now is RoboCop, Dave the Diver, Hi-Fi Rush would be my 3. I'm not too sure about where You Will Die Here Tonight sits in this list.
There is a part of me that would take Dave the Diver out, or maybe even Hi-Fi Rush out for You Will Die Here Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to kick or stamp my feet or anything like that. I think Hi-Fi Rush's context makes it surprising. It being a rhythm character action game isn't that, and it's pretty good. Isn't that surprising? It's more the context around its release that's the surprising part. So that's where is that context, and is the fact that it just came out of nowhere from a studio not really known for that sort of game, and it's pretty good. Is that enough to keep it in a top 3?
So I think the nature of that game, Hi-Fi Rush, the release of that game is where the surprise comes with that one.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that the studio hasn't made that type of game in the past, because I think saying that a studio hasn't made that type of game in the past has been really productive on the skill set of the people who work for it.
And it doesn't necessarily preclude them from being able to make something like that quite well.
Exactly, that's what I mean. But I think that that game I don't believe it was even announced. It's out now kind of a
it
thing.
It had never been announced before. It just straight dropped out of nowhere.
So I think from that perspective, I think that needs to be in the list just for that. And the fact is that it kind of pretty much stuck the landing pretty damn well. It was well received critically and from a gameplay. So I think it probably needs to be in the list. Probably maybe discussion is whether Dave the Diver should be or whether You Will Die Here Tonight should be. Gets into that third one. And I'm not fussed either way. I've not played You Will Die Here Tonight, but I think Dave the Diver, not that it shouldn't be in the list for this reason, has got its own just already. It's on my list, probably on your list as well, I should imagine, personal list. So as long as it's not going to get any other sort of nominations, but yeah, whether that's a reason to drop it and put something else in, I can see that as an argument. It probably really shouldn't be down to that, but I could see it either way.
It is the strength. The main reason I'm stuck on You Will Die Here Tonight as a surprise, apart from not knowing about it until I bought it and played it, it's the way the story plays out. Now, the actual nature of the story and what it actually does, you can boil it down to very specific elements of, okay, it starts off as a police procedural, it becomes Resident Evil, and then becomes Cabin in the Woods. Now, if you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, that's a movie that starts off as a somewhat pure horror movie. Kids go to the woods, big bad, starts killing all the kids off. It all becomes fucked. But then you find out that cabin in those woods in that area was like a test dome, and there was a facility that had a bunch of monsters and all that sort of shit. You fall into it, or the characters fall into it, start letting all the monsters out, and all the scientists get fucked up. That's kind of what You Will Die Here Tonight is. You send off, it was described roguelike. I don't think that's true, but all the characters can die and eventually come back to life, which is weird. That's more a framing device to be able to keep the game going. But you get to the egg, you play through this Resident Evil style mansion, finding keys, solving puzzles, killing zombies, whatever. Get to the end of it, you escape. That part was cool enough. And then as you watch the cutscene play out, the helicopter's flying away, fucking flies into the side of this dome and just explodes. And you're like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Turns out it's a test facility to try and figure out the superiority of this specific character and how they can be replicated or cloned to be the superior officer. I can't remember the specific points of why they were doing this cloning. And you're watching this play, it's across 3.5 hours. You're watching this play out and it's like, what the fuck? And it's just several what the fuck moments all tied together. And when it all it comes together fairly well because like I said, it has this sort of Resident Evil vibe and you're like, this is pretty cool. It's been done before, but it's pretty cool. But the way in which it all comes together as a cohesive story, I did not expect it to go where it went. And it's the Friday night episodes on YouTube. You can see my reaction to this thing in real time as I played it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is just absolutely blowing my mind. I didn't expect that. It was super interesting.
So why wasn't it in best new thing?
I didn't think to put it there. I also didn't think from its newness isn't the thing that was going. That category is looking at a more specific thing than I feel this category is.
Okay,
I don't feel like You Will Die Here Tonight works as a best new thing above what we picked as the winners. I think if you look at this game against a Dave the Diver in the totality of its experience, it doesn't quite top that. It's not going to rival Dave the Diver in a lot of those instances. But just from a sheer, holy fuck, I did not expect this thing at all, it actually comes together really, really well. And after I looked at a couple of reviews after I'd finished it, and GameSpot gave it a 3 or 4 out of 10. And I'm like, what are you on? How did you get to that idea? But yeah, the strength the real strength outside of the exploration element, which I really enjoy, in a Dead Space, Resident Evil, that sort of space, that semi-immersive sim type vibe, That part's cool, but it's purely the strength of the narrative.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've convinced me. If Dave the Diver's out, your die is
Robocop wins.
He's in 3. Robocop definitely wins. Do we swap Wi-Fi Rush? You were here? No, probably not. I'm happy with the list. Yep. All right, cool.
Robocop's fucking amazing. People should play it.
Yep. So we've finalised best surprise. It is the winner, Robocop Rogue City. Runners up are Hi-Fi Rush and You Will Die Here Tonight. On to the last category. And let's take a quick break before we jump into that one. 2. And we are back. One category to go for part 1. We're in best looking. Fairly self-explanatory. Best looking game. Doesn't matter what the art style is. It's just best looking.
It's a game that looks pretty good, eh?
Pretty good. Doesn't have anything to do with the gameplay, audio, nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's just purely how the game looks. Obviously, how it looks in motion has an aspect on that, but not so much anything else. So we have a bucket load of freaking nominations in this category. So, look quickly with them. Not luckily again, Dave the Diver, Cocoon, Hi-Fi Rush, Dredge, Humanity, Viewfinder, Ravenlock, Dead Space, Chichia. Is that all that game's name is, or has it got other? Chichia. It's it. Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, Resident Evil 4, System Shock, Ratchet and Clank. That's eligible because it came out on PC this year, first time on that platform. Sea of Stars, Remnant 2, American Arcadia, Bilkins Folly, Alan Wake 2, Laker, Age 3 Blood, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and Talos Principle II. Alright, let's dive in. So this one's a bit different. It's actually going to bring up screenshots. So we'll have a bit idea of how this game looks. And in some cases there might even be other footage to show you as we go through it. So Dave the Diver, we've discussed Dave the Diver to the nth degree. I do have a video to show of that. We'll come to that moment. Cocoon, likewise, we've shown that off. We've got some screenshots here. This game does look.
I feel like Cocoon's a really strong.
Oh, absolutely.
Nominee for this.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Yeah, it's just got a really good look to it. The sort of the industrial sort of look to it, and sort of that sort of thing is just really, really good. Hi-Fi Rush, yep, same thing. It has a good look to it. It's sort of
not necessarily something we haven't seen before, though.
No, not really. But it's just kind of the cell shaded kind of thing about it.
Oh, it's very nice.
Really good. Looks really good in motion.
It wouldn't be here if it wasn't very nice.
No. Dredge. Dredge has got a really. I don't know how you'd even describe it. What sort of look would it be?
There's an angular sort of
like an angular sort of
like
it's a really like it's
even
it's
the
not,
character portraits have a weird, angles and shit
angles.
too.
It's not nothing smooth. Like you can see, it's angular. It's got lots like you can kind of see the polygons for a bit of it too.
There's almost sort of flat shading, and that's about it. There's not much in the way of actual.
It's
like,
not a
fine definition detail.
Yeah, there's also not a lot of colour variation between it. You do get some nice sunset sort of stuff. You can see in that third shot there, but it's a very sort of subtle colour palette.
It's not very technically advanced. There isn't mad ray tracing effects or anything like this.
No.
It's all down to the art style.
Yeah, that's 100%. Humanity, I think I might have put this on the list. I think I put this on the list primarily because the nature of these humans just following a path and falling through the environment is just like really, really cool how it looks. Not sure it's going to hang in the top 3.
The frame rate doesn't take a hit.
No, the considering you end up with like thousands of these sort of bodies on this screen at once, the game sort of holds up pretty well. Not sure it's going to be top 3, but that's kind of explaining why it's on this list.
I'm not feeling that for top 3, to be honest.
No, neither am I. Viewfinder, we've discussed that. I think that's almost a shoe-in for this list, maybe, from my perspective. Ravenlock, it's...
The only thing Ravenlock has going for it.
Yeah, pretty much his only thing is just look, it's the voxel part, actual pixel stuff. It's really good. It ain't going to cut the mustard ultimately. Dead Space, that's obviously in your realm.
Looks fucking incredible. Again, much like the sound, I think there's too much of a building off of the original building block that game was.
Yep.
I think you can get rid of that already.
Yep. All right.
Looks fucking amazing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not, yeah.
Chichia, again, was a sort of a third person or first person? Shit, I can't remember.
Third-person open world.
Third-person open world game. Really colourful, really colourful art style, and the presentation was sort of Polynesian.
Those enemies don't look great. That's where I think it falls down a little bit.
No, I think
environmentally it looks fucking incredible.
Characters are really good.
Characters look great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's sort of set a Polynesian kind of vibe to it in terms of its sort of environment sort of stuff. But yeah, it's anyway. Street Fighter 6, yeah, it's Street Fighter. What can I say?
Yep, it's a very nice version of Street Fighter. The graffiti style effects are cool,
Yep.
but yeah, it's just a really nice version of Street Fighter.
Diablo 4, like Blizzard are known for their cutscenes being absolutely stunning, and they were in this game too. The actual game itself played really well. I mean, obviously there's other issues with Diablo 4 we probably won't get to because I don't think someone let anywhere else actually. But yeah, in terms of its looking, I think it looked really good.
It looks very nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It's a little samey.
Yeah, there was areas that were different, so I did a bit to it, but yeah. Resident Evil 4.
The lighting is really well done in that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, have a look at that. See if we get that screenshot to the like that effect is really, and the depth they did to it too, because you had a section where you had stuff falling way down below you was really quite impressive. But it's a Blizzard game and it's Diablo, so that's
an action RPG like that is always going to be very hard to pull off graphical fidelity and that sort of deal. It looks really nice for what it is. It's not hanging.
Yep. Resident Evil 4, which is the remake, isn't it? I assume.
Yep. Same issue as Dead Space.
Yep. All right.
Looks great. Already has a building block on top of it.
System Shock, I assume, is in the same boat.
To an extent, the thing about System Shock, and it keeps a sort of pixelated art vibe, but when you see it in motion, it looks really, really cool and interesting.
Okay.
Like obviously, again, it is working off an existing building blocks, but it is a much more interesting look than what Dead Space and RE4 go way more technical. It's a very interesting sort of mix of art and technical for System Shock. I don't think it'll hold out, but it's super cool to look at. Yep.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I believe this one shouldn't be on the top 3 either for the exact same reason it was on PlayStation.
Yep.
Shit, last year before, whenever it
was. 21, I think.
21? Okay. That's a launch title, wasn't it? Or merely a launch title. Anyway.
Not quite a launch window.
Launch window title, yeah. So I think that game looks was known sort of thing, but obviously I'm assuming it played really well on PC.
Yep.
And obviously
during 2021 on PlayStation.
Right, okay, PlayStation. Yep.
It's just a much higher fidelity.
Yeah, higher fidelity,
it's on the PlayStation.
Higher frame rate because it can do more because you got the ball grunt behind it. So
ray tracing was much more advanced.
Yeah,
but
probably at HDR as well at some level. Sea of Stars is our next one to briefly touch on.
Very pretty pixel art.
Very pretty pixel art. It looked really good I think this game looked really good in motion when you were running around, and the environment was just and the environments they created and the bosses they created, I think, were really cool as well. Does it have any of the sort of the way they presented the story was through these sort of little dialogue sort of pop-up things?
The anime, yeah.
Which is sort of standard, I guess, for the want of a better term, how these games are presented, but yeah.
For the form.
Yeah. Remnant 2.
A prettier version of Remnant 1.
Yeah. There's a bit of a...
very, very nice.
There's you could easily put this into 2 categories. Best looking technical, best looking art style sort of thing. And that's where a game like this might be more prevalent in a technical discussion, along with System Shock and Resident Evil, those sort of games that are more...
I think from an art style perspective, they do quite well with doing some interesting things in isolation. Yeah. If you haven't played one, it's going to look way better.
Yep.
Having played one, it's just doing more of what they did with one.
Yep. American Arcadia. I think this game looked really cool. It just had a nice look to it and nice feel to it, and the shots they made and the nature of that atmospheric stuff they created with it was just really, really good. Like the
Did
design.
any
and
of this
everything.
team work on like Inside or whatever? Because it has like when you look at the screenshots, take the 70s vibe out, it has a hell of Inside look to it.
It does sort of, I could, yeah,
Obviously not the first person scenes, but
yeah. Bilkins Folly. This game just looks really neat. It looks really good in motion. It's not going to hang on this list, but
nah,
the best aspect of it
I like
was the pixel art dog that was really nice.
I like the pixel art to it.
Yeah, but it's
But even from a pixel art perspective, it might not even be the third best pixel art game.
No,
I'd say,
no,
this list.
for sure.
Well,
Alan
yeah,
Wake,
Dave's
Alan,
on here. All right.
Alan Wake 2, that falls into the category of existing, but it's obviously a high version of one of those.
There's more than they do more with it. I'll talk about it in a bit later, but
thing,
they do
the
fucking
thing,
some
like
really
as I was
great
saying,
things.
as I was saying before, you could have that technical and art style category. With the technical one, you're also talking about ray tracing, HDR, that kind of stuff that does add to. It could mean that even though it's a sequel and you're basing it, well, not the sequel is a direct sequel in terms of everything. It's just a following on sequel, so then it's like a complete new environment and all that stuff. So it is got its own merits on that perspective. But you can have that as a thing as well. So Laker Age 3 Blood.
This is one of the few games that doesn't rely on pixel art, doesn't rely on really photorealistic or really strong technical graphical style. It's very much that hand-drawn, not quite Ori. A more pissed off Ori is maybe how you might want to say it.
Yep.
The art style is very well done and very well animated. I would find it hard for it to get over some of what we've already got, but I fucking love the look of this game.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora. This is definitely from what I've played of it so far, which I think early in the episode was only a couple of hours. This is more of a technical, like the look of this game when you get into the jungle environment. I do have a video to show of this.
Yeah,
in
the
a
lighting
bit.
and the forestry and all that sort of stuff.
In fact, before I go any further, I'm going to play that video now, then I'll probably remove it, because it is, from a technical perspective, it is just very impressive. Video. There you go. Come on, computer. Catch up with me. Whoop. Okay, now I'm trying to find where I put it.
I was like, oh, wait, no, it's all going to burn. Oh, no, that's not the problem. You just can't find the file.
I just can't find the video that I created.
I was wondering what was going on for a second. I'm just like patiently waiting. I'm just like, okay, Graham's going to sort himself out. Oh, no, it's all broken. I will say, it's all come together and working really quite well, so kudos to you.
Yeah, it has worked out quite well.
You put all this work in, I just sat back and fucking played games.
It has worked out surprisingly well. I think I know where I put it. In here. Yes,
Up your bum. Ha! There's your title. Up your bum.
So I'm just going to play. I hope this works. Just going to cut to this full video that I've created. It only goes for a couple of minutes, but I'll skip through it. I'll actually also mute it because the audio is not part of the thing. So you're obviously playing as a Navi, so you're playing from the first person perspective.
I like to have to crouch to get through a door.
Yeah. You can see, like, it just has a really neat, like, if you see the look of these enemies down below with the flashlights on their guns, like the way they created their atmospheric is really, I mean, this little bit was really impressive. Like, watch this, like, look at this.
Yeah, the lighting and the technicality behind the lighting and
started,
everything they set up is really quite interesting.
And I'm here, I'm crouching here, so I just realised I was crouching and then stood up and I started jumping. And the shadow effect was just really impressive. Then later on, you go to this long tunnel.
That's a really good shot.
Yeah, and then leads to this opening into this full. This is literally the opening half hour of the game. So this is you get into this absolutely stunning. This thing's jaw dropping when you first do it on a PC. I don't know how to look on a console, but on my relatively high-end PC, this was just amazing. The detail, the fluidity of of the leaves rustling and all that kind of stuff, and the water moving, and the reflections. It was just.
My understanding is it holds up pretty close on console.
I can imagine they could probably scale it back a little bit in terms of that to keep the look of it up and the frame rate up. And then they got to sort of the map stuff as well. But it is kind of jaw-droppingly good looking.
That's
game.
you fast forwarding through the video, isn't it? That's not jumping in like weird jumping, stuttering in the actual video.
No, this is playing in motion.
Oh, okay, because there was some stuttery stuff that came up just then. I think that might have been you fast forwarding through.
That might have been me fast forwarding,
though.
or just the But
from a technical perspective, this looks really good.
As I said,
I've seen video of it from other places too.
Yeah, as I said, the technical stuff is where that one really does shine. Yeah. But yeah, so that one's. Then last we've got is Talos Principle II. This just looks really, really good. It's just got some. That's I think that's you.
Environmental detail is
environmental detail and stuff
one.
they've created in this game is really good, and the very sort of industrial sort of creation they've made with the buildings and everything looking really, really,
It looks almost like a Call of Duty map.
It isn't that. Yeah, some of the stuff is. Yeah. But let's do some culling. I'm going to cull Avatar. I think we can. You don't think we should?
I don't know if you.
Not yet.
No, I don't. I think from a technical perspective, that holds up way too well to be the first game cut.
Okay,
it may end up getting cut. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the first game I would cut.
Okay. So what do you think we should cut? Let's go through and cut before we go any further.
Okay.
I'm going to cut Bilkins Folly. I'll do that one.
Yep.
It's
sad.
Sadly, but yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush, I think, looks great. I think Hi-Fi Rush is out.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. I think we can probably drop Humanity.
Yep.
Even though it does.
But the fact that it works, that it doesn't dip the frame rate.
Yeah,
there's that many dudes
from a
on
technical
stream,
how they've done that technically has been really, really impressive.
Viewfinder is a tale of two halves because it's the fact that you put those photos down and it fucking works and doesn't break.
Yeah, yeah.
So how much of that do we bring into this conversation?
Yeah,
that's where I think it's hard to cut it right now.
I think we can probably
Ravenlock
probably
out
because from
despite unlike voxels.
Yeah. What else could we cut?
Dead Space. I fucking love the detail of it. It looks fantastic. It looks incredible. It's working off an existing framework. I don't think it's quite gonna work. And the fucking detail of it is fantastic. It's one of the best things I've seen this year. But because of the fact that it's built off existing building blocks and it's just a reworked version of that, I don't think it's... What's your vibe on that?
I kind of see where you're coming from. Let's just leave it for the time being.
Yeah.
Because going back to that technical, that technical discussion does come into play.
Chia looks really, really nice.
I think it's out. I think we can probably drop Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
Because it's not to be reductive, it is Street Fighter. It's got it's got character design to work through.
And Tekken 8 just came out, and Tekken 8 looks orders of magnitude better than Street Fighter 6.
Okay, fair enough. Diablo 4.
Bye-bye.
I think I agree with that one. Whereabouts where was he? Resident Evil 4. More on your say this one?
More so than Dead Space. So than Dead Space, it's working off an existing framework.
Yep.
Dead Space looks there's more. I don't know if it's more work done to it or if Dead Space looked better originally than RE4.
Yeah. Okay.
RE4 is also a much older game coming out originally on the GameCube.
Yep. Okay.
So the remake, obviously, there's more to do artistically to make it look better and technically to make it look better. I don't think it's going to crack a top 3.
No, we'll leave it for time being. But System Shock.
Get rid of it. I literally don't think it'll crack.
Don't think so?
No.
Okay. Happy to go.
No.
System Shock.
Leave it for now because I have a hard time saying that doesn't look fucking fantastic. Ratchet and Clank, for as
good as it looks, I'm sure it looks really good on PC, but it is based on literally a 2-year-old game.
It already looks really good on PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. 5. Yeah, so Sea of Stars is the next one to discuss. I don't think it can be cut just yet.
Neither do I.
But it may not make top 3 eventually, ultimately, but I don't think it can be cut just yet. Remnant 2, where's you on that one?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, okay, goodbye.
Looks really, really nice. It's a prettier version of the first one with some additional little bits and pieces here and there.
I don't think American Arcadia can go, but I don't think it'll make top 3.
Neither do I, not yet.
Not yet, but...
Not from a visual design perspective.
I don't think it'll make top... It may not make top 3, but it doesn't deserve to go just yet. Alan Wake 2, I think that's a no-brainer for staying at the moment.
Yep.
Laker A3 Blood, what do you say?
I love the look of it.
I can see that, yeah.
The side-scrolling... The fact we've got a couple of side-scrolling type games that, or sort of more 2D when you think of Sea of Stars, and this isn't that pixel art style. The pixel art stuff has been relatively done to death to a point to the it's been so refined.
Yep.
This not being that pixel art style, it looks great. There's some variety to it. Maybe not the same level of variety as perhaps the Sea of Stars to a point. That's partly a function of it being a different type of game, different scale.
Yeah. I must admit, the character design is really good in this one.
Yeah.
It's got some really nice character design. And the environment.
I would say maybe for now, leave it.
Well, let's leave it for now. We can always obviously come back to it. Talos Principle, I kind of think based on everything else on this list, it probably isn't going to make it.
I don't think Talos Principle is going to make it. It's a much nicer looking version of the first one, and it does way more. Yeah,
but I think at this stage, I think I'll cut it for now. I can, of course, bring it back in, but I think we'll cut it for now. And Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, I think at this stage we'll leave for the moment. So,
I think from a technical perspective...
Yeah, I think it needs, just for that alone, I think it needs to stay at the moment. Okay, so what after that initial first cull, we've got remaining Dave the Diver, Cocoon, Dredge, Viewfinder, Dead Space, System Shock, Sea of Stars, American Arcadia, Alan Wake 2, Laker A3 Blood, and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. So let's just go back.
I think...
Yep.
I was going to say, I think if we're talking pixel art, I think Sea of Stars does it better than Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver has the benefit of having polygonal sort of work in there too. It sort of combines polygonal and pixel art sort of style. I think Sea of Stars is visually maybe stronger than Dave the Diver.
I'm going to play a little video and we can discuss this further. So just put your audio back on. So this is a little thing I've created. So these,
of course, yep.
These cutscenes where they do enhancements are just fucking awesome.
They're fucking fantastic. They're so funny.
They are so funny. They are so good. Downside is they are repetitive. You do see them an awful lot. I sadly didn't capture on my recordings my favourite one. My favourite one was I think it was pretty sure it was an enhanced one as well. There were two ones I really liked. One at the very end of it, close to the end of it, he cuts a bit of a fish. In the background, there's a fish in a tank, and he goes, oh, and he's got this. Oh my god, I'm gonna just really. I didn't capture that one sadly. And the other favourite one I had was there was one that he put on some music and was and he put on some headphones and he had there's some really 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 good stuff. But the main selling point of these are these little things, or these little, I'm not sure how you even just
little interstitial sections that...
not really cutscenes per se, but they're just these little things that highlight. They progress the story in a way.
That's really interesting personality.
Oh, absolutely! Like if this is just the this is the sushi bar stuff here. This is one of these. What was it? Cookster rating, I think, when these guys came in, we upgraded it.
Yeah, Cookster. Yeah, to go up a level in Cookster.
Cookster had this stuff, which is really good. And then you had things like just this thing. Well, this is where you spend 90% of the game, 95% of the game. It's on this boat, on this ocean, on this thing called the Blue Hole, and this is just one of the scenes where it looks like it in a storm, and it just in motion, it just looks really really good. and then you.
I'm not going to dispute that Dave the Diver looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, I mean, even
that pistol shrimp, that motherfucker.
He was a really just these big monsters that you can fight, and that sort of stuff. Just the presentation is. Sorry. These things are just the presentation is just so good.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, whether it's better or over Sea of Stars, I don't know. But having said that,
it's such small degrees at this point.
I mean, ultimately, we probably should have made this maybe a top 5 one or something to be more relaxed. But anyway,
there's also an argument to be made that maybe Dave the Diver and Sea of Stars don't make it.
Yeah, and it's entirely possible. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So what else have we got? So Cocoon, where do you sit with Cocoon?
And you want to bring it back to the main view?
Good call. Sorry, there we go.
Because I was like, I can't say what you're talking about. Cocoon looks fucking amazing.
It certainly does, no doubt.
I can't cut Cocoon yet.
Can't cut Cocoon. Dredge?
No. Based on the conversations we've got, what we've got left, I don't think Dredge is going to hang.
No, I don't think
Dredge looks really, really nice. It has a really interesting and unique art style. It's not gonna be able to sit and compete with the top 3.
Don't think it will. No. Viewfinder. I'm kind of inclined to cut this one.
I am as well. Because as cool and as dope as the technicality is of just being able to place these photos and be able to inhabit them,
it's more the technical aspect of that's really impressive. Because when you look at the actual design,
and that's more.
It's a technical thing. It's like even a gameplay perspective.
Technical gameplay thing more than a visual thing.
Because even though it does look very good,
sad as it is,
even when you do that stuff, it looks really cool. The actual environments themselves are relatively straightforward. And plain's not the right term to use, but they're not particularly setting anything really.
They're not then there's no earth-shattering sort of technicality or anything that sticks out art-wise, and you're like, yo.
And the environment, the environments you're in are just relatively straightforward for the one. Straightforward.
Yeah.
There's nothing really groundbreaking about any of the stuff at all. But the technical thing of that, I think that's probably where we'll come to your best hand feel kind of category. I think that's where where that'll come into play again.
That's a really. Wait, do we even have that in best hand feel?
Yeah, don't worry about it now. We'll look at it later. We'll look at it at the moment. So what do we got? Dead Space, System Shock. Alan Wake, from a technical perspective, let's look at the technical ones. So you got Alan Wake 2, System Shock, and Dead Space. Any one of those that could be cut?
System Shock.
System Shock? Really? I thought you might have gone Dead Space. Okay.
I think if you talk technically, System Shock is the weaker of the 3.
Okay, yep.
The thing about System Shock, if you want to screenshots, the thing that makes System Shock so interesting visually is that mix between the 3D sort of advancements, for lack of a better term, that technicality, and the sort of almost pixel arty sort of element they go for. Like, if you walk up to these walls in the environment, they'll actually come across as very obvious pixel work.
Okay, so it's not a...
But it doesn't show as clearly here. Like, from a distance, it just looks like pure polygon work.
Yeah, okay.
It's much more art-based. Like, even that... Go back one.
One
more. Yep. Yeah. See that switch? Just above the gun?
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, from there, it looks just like sort of normal standard polygon work. But if you actually walk up to it, you can see, like, very clear pixel...
Okay.
Sort of edges to it.
Yep.
It's just a super cool mix of technical pixel work.
Yeah, okay.
It's not going to hang.
Okay.
It's not going to get through to the 3.
Yep.
I love it, but it's not getting through.
All right. Okay. Day of the Diver versus Sea of Stars. I know your call's probably Sea of Stars.
Surprisingly, it is Sea of Stars.
Yeah,
I think there is a greater scope of variety.
I kind of ultimately, you're right. Once you've swum in the blue hole for the 95th freaking time, because you do it twice a day, and you've gone to the sushi bar and you've gone to your branch you open up later in the game, and you go onto the farm. Yeah, it does become quite the nature of the game is repetitive. That's exactly what it is. Whereas you're saying, yeah, I can see what you're saying with all these different environments and these monsters and stuff. Mind you, the monster design in David Diver is really good as well.
Yeah.
I kind of can go with dropping Dave the Diver, which is when if you'd said to me at the beginning of this category it'd be dropped, it wouldn't even the top three, I would have gone, yeah, you're fucking nuts. But I can see that it getting dropped.
Absolutely.
Is not a. Alrighty. So we're now down to just 7 games. We've got Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora, Laker Age Through Blood, Alan Wake 2, American Arcadia, Sea of Stars, Dead Space, and Cocoon.
So the funniest part about that whole conversation we just had, I don't think Sea of Stars makes it.
I can kind of see that. I mean, what's your, like, as we've got 7 games on this list so far, what's your top 3?
Cocoon, Alan Wake 2, and either American Arcadia, possibly, or Laker.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm actually with Cocoon, Sea of Stars, and American Arcadia is mine because they're the 3 games I've played. So that's where my bias is on that. So I think from that point, let's just drop Avatar because we both decided
technically fucking incredible, but yep.
Dead Space probably do the same thing because we didn't put that in our list of 3. So we're left with Cocoon, Sea of Stars, American Arcadia, Alan Wake 2, and Laker Age Through Blood.
I think Lake is on the outside looking in. I don't think it can make it.
Yeah, I'm agree with that one. Let's cut that one.
It looks great. I love the look. It's not the one I would hang my hat on.
Yeah. So we're getting towards the latter end of these sort of categories. You've got to be rather ruthless and blunt and brutal.
Yep.
So for me, I think American Arcadia has to be in this list. I just think the style of that game is just really, really good. So I would put that in a 3. I could see this being Cocoon, American Arcadia, and Alan Wake. I could see that being in the Sea of Stars, even though we had that discussion. Could drop out, but my God, that's a really bad. It's a really bad discussion. It's fucking bad thing to have to do, but I kind of think that might be it.
It is. It's a bit of a gut punch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like to me, Alan Wake 2 is the best thing I've ever seen from a video game.
All right, so let's drop Sea of Stars. Is the order Alan Wake, Cocoon, American Arcadia? Happy with that?
I think Alan Wake 2 is the best looking thing that came out this year. It does some really cool and interesting things where FMV becomes part of the environment, and it's not obviously so.
Yep.
They do some really cool and interesting stuff where they layer different textures as almost like a filter to an extent over top of the game environment. The lighting is incredible. And from just a fidelity perspective and from a technical perspective, the art style does work. Like that first screenshot, one of the first screenshots you showed there where it had Saga with the flashlight at the that second one.
The second one, this guy here. So
that looks really, really good. That one. So those hanging things from the tree are part of the sort of cult, I guess, or what is presented as a cult. They have those sort of elements all over the place that they sort of bring it all together. It's just if you had told me that, it's hard to say that like this is the best technical thing you've ever seen, but it is literally the best technical thing I've ever seen. Like
I can see.
It looks fucking amazing.
That scene alone looks really cool, even though it's just a fairly static shot. Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that being one. I'm happy with that list in order that it's done. So let's lock it in. All right, the winner of Best Looking Game for 2023 is Alan Wake 2, runners-up Cocoon and American Arcadia, and a bucket load of honorable mentions.
And a fucking slew of bodies.
But yeah, all of those games are really, really good looking. So that is the end of part 1. So to recap, we went through best games.
Are we doing my music or
tomorrow? Let's do yours tomorrow. We haven't got time. Sorry. Best game we didn't get time to finish was Cocoon, Cocoon winning with Dredge and Talos Principle II. Best noise was Alan Wake 2 with runners-up being Hi-Fi Rush and Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. Best new thing was Dave the Diver, followed with Dredge and Viewfinder as runners-up. Best Surprise and Hi-Fi Rush and You'll Die Here Tonight being runners up. Best looking game is Alan Wake, Cocoon, and American Arcadia. If you want to do your music stuff, I'll go feed Gus and we'll come back and finish up. We'll do that. So I'm going to go on mute.
Yeah, okay.
You do. I'll go feed Gus because he's getting hungry.
Didn't you have Didn't you have a thing where you were going to have it on the screen somewhere?
No, not for. I was just going to put that on the show notes. That's what this is for.
Ah, right. That's where that was. Okay, so Graham is going to go feed his doggy.
Yep, I will be back in a moment and we'll wrap this up.
And so while he's doing that, I'm going to semi-quickly go through my best music of the year. I split it into two with best EP and best album. The best EP was the easier of the two because for me there were three absolute dominant EPs that I listened to throughout the year. And while there were some really good ones, a couple of really good EPs from bands like Decayer and Scumfuck, without question, the three best EPs of the year are... Oh, I need to bring up the bloody list now because I don't have it in front of me here. Where did I put it? This is where things are fun. There we go. So, the three obvious ones. We've got three of Remote Godseeker and Automatic Death Protocol by Psycho Frame, and Between Death and Dreams by Brand of Sacrifice. Both of the Psycho Frame EPs are fucking amazing. Sort of going a little older. Old school deathcore is really hard to say because it's not that older category, or genre. But it is a bit of a throwback, and it's just incredibly aggressive, incredibly brutal, and incredibly heavy, and does a very, very good job of that style. Brand of Sacrifice is probably one of the top 3 or 5 bands of that genre and that style of music for me. The three are very easy. Picking the winner is very, very hard because I haven't listened to Automatic Death Protocol as much as the other two. I'm going to say Remote Godseeker by Psycho Frame is the best EP of the year. Between Death and Dreams for Brand of Sacrifice and Automatic Death Protocol by Psycho Frame round it out. Brand of Sacrifice actually has new music coming this year, hopefully, as they sign to a major label. So I'm hoping for a new album from them this year. Some great... that EP is 4 songs, but they're fucking incredible. And a nice hint at the evolution that Brand of Sacrifice are working on. I will say, Album of the Year was a little bit harder to do because there were 2 absolute obvious standouts. The number 3, you ask me tomorrow, I may give you any of 6 to 8 different albums purely because there's about 6 to 8 albums that I thought were really, really good, but nowhere near the level of the top 2 for me. What I've got for a top 3, I'm not going to say honorable mentions. We could be here for fucking ages. I've got Terrasite by Cattle Decapitation, Necromantium by Carnifex, and The Artist in the Ambulance Revisited by Thrice. Now, I know our friend Mike Jeffcott was a big fan of Thrice. That came up when we talked about my album of the year a few years back when I talked about Caesar's Rome. I define a perfect album as one where you don't skip any songs. If you can listen to the album front to back and not wish to skip any songs, that to me is the epitome of a perfect album. Artist in the Ambulance was one of the albums I would state is a perfect album, probably up there with Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild by CKY and a few others. Thrice went back and re-recorded. And it's not as vocally aggressive, perhaps, as what the original version is, but those songs are still fucking amazing. But my album of the year, it's a bit of a hard toss-up, but it's Cattle Decapitation's Terrasite. That album is fucking amazing. Necromantium is probably the best example of deathcore album for the year. But Terrasite it seemed to me it takes some deathcore influences, but still sticks with that really aggressive, really heavy sort of grindcore death metal sort of vibe that they've been going for the last few albums. And it's almost catchy. It's like bop it along. Sitting in your car, listening to it, it's like I've got a link to my playlists for my 2023 playlist, which we can chuck in the description on YouTube and in the show notes. So if people want to really know what are some of those albums that I was leaning towards, and I said a bunch of must-listens throughout the year as well. So if you were listening and sticking with us, you'll know a lot of the albums I considered for this. It was just, like I said, really, really hard to come up with that third because it could be any of 6 or 8 albums. Just nothing to me held up to the quality of Carnifex's album or Cattle Decapitation. So that's the music of this year. Excellent.
Right, so that is the end of part 1 of the Should I Play This Game Game of the Year Awards for 2023. We're going to record part 2 tomorrow, and it'll come out either in the next 24, 40 hours from the release of this one. We haven't decided that.
That was a funny thing when I was talking. As I was wrapping up the Friday show last night at the time of recording, I'm like, we're doing the recording Saturday and Sunday. We have no fucking idea when we're putting him out. One's at least going to be Monday. The other one, could be any time.
Tuesday, Wednesday, we haven't decided yet. The fact that this one's gone for just over 2.5 hours, we probably put the second one up on Wednesday. Give people time to listen to this one before they go to the second one. So that'll do us for now. As I said, we'll be back. Well, we'll be back in a couple of days with the second part of this. We've got considerably more categories in the next one. We're going to be doing Best Story and Writing, Best Hand Feel, which you're going to describe to me what that really is. Best New Character / NPC, that's always a hard one to do. Best Campaign, another hard one to do. Best Main Mission, another hard one to do. They've got Steve's top 10, my top 10. Then we're going to put them into one big friggin' list and try and get 10 games for the site. That'll be the last.
That's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun too. So, that'll be tomorrow.
Start recording earlier, maybe.
I think I was just going to say exactly that after we've finished. We'll do that. Okay, so that'll be it for part 1. We'll be back in a couple of days' time, as far as you're concerned.
Your time, a couple of days.
Couple of days' time to do part 2. Until then, thanks for listening and for watching, and we'll be back later. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Play the music.
I'm going to try and find it first.
Oh, fuck.
Audio. There we go.
There it is.